fake chaos theory guarantees that we'll play like lightning shots, sounding like thunder. For every time in the face that it hits us, we're faster. Well, they should know by now. They see the world keeps trying to shake us. It only waits us. The pendulum swings. The pendulum swings. It's in a beautiful darkness. Calling another. It's full steam ahead. Full steam ahead. All above the Betty Express. Misdirected from the start. It's a runaway train. I come a freight train. I come a freight train. In a beautiful darkness, the Betty Express. In a beautiful dark.
Well, you guys, starting right fresh off the bat with this trial, just off the rails already. Our next witness in the state's case in chief is going to be the forensic anthropologist that's going to explain how she was able to look at the cervical spinal bones, the vertebrae that she got, and determine that there was, a handheld knife and also a power tool used. So we shouldn't probably see any gory pictures, but it's not going to be the easiest testimony. Howdy, howdy, Sniper and Paula and Granny Smith and Wolfram, our Modly Mod and JKD Buck. All right, let's jump into this. We are at 1.25 just so we can finish this trial up by the end of the week. That's kind of what we're doing. This is a crazy trial. If you're new to this trial, the defendant is Devin Michaels. She is a former adult actress who was in love and in a relationship with John Willett until she wasn't. Now, they did end up having 2 little girls, but then, the heart wants what the heart wants, and she decided to marry John's adult son from a previous relationship, making him not only the stepfather, but half-brother of his stepchildren. Again, these are things that haven't even happened in my hillbilly town. I mean, because I know about it. I mean, it'd be the talk of Walmart. Yeah. Now, they decided, or she decided, that in order to give the girl stability, now this is her story, John was going to move in with her and Devier, his son, her husband, to give the girls a cohesive familial unit. Now, the night before he was supposed to move in and the girls were supposed to start school, John, well, he ended up losing his head. Now, Devin is the only one that was in the house. She actually talked to Yoko, his mother. John was living in his mother's house in kind of a makeshift room area, living room. Again, I've always kind of questioned how she was able to use a sawzall without alerting other people in the house. But John's mother, Yoko, and her boyfriend, Yoshida, are older. So if they take medications to help them go to sleep or things like that, it's very possible that they could have not heard any of this. But tragically, she was the one that actually discovered her son's body, kind of very much like the Taylor Schabusiness trial. The defense has been absolutely god-awful. I don't know if they watched or if they were the template on which the Brian Walsh trial defense got their thoughts, but their basic thing has, I am going to act like a condescending dick and pretend you don't know how to do your job and ask you ridiculous questions, such as, and this was actually a line in this trial, Granny Smith, my favorite line in this trial was the crime photographer when she was asked how she knew the guy was decapitated, and she had to respond because he didn't have a head. Yes, the defense has been pulling out Olympic gold like this. So I am sure we are in for nothing but stellar ridiculousness. Ooh, demonstratives.
You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you, ma'am. And Doctor, if you please state your full name and spell it for the record.
Sure. My name is Jennifer Burns, Jennifer, B as in boy, Yrnes.
How are you employed, ma'am?
I am an associate professor at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas.
What's your position beyond that?
So I teach, I do research, and I do service, which includes serving as a consult as needed for the Clark County Office of the Coroner Medical Examiner's Office.
And are you what's called a forensic anthropologist?
Yes, so I am board certified by the American Board of Forensic Anthropology.
And so that would be your certification, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Any other certifications?
No, that's it. Otherwise, I have my degrees.
Can you tell us about that?
Sure. I have a Bachelor's of Science in Biology with minors in Anthropology and Chemistry from SUNY College at Geneseo. I have a Master's degree and PhD, both in Anthropology from the University of Buffalo.
And obviously you have many degrees, certification. Do you also undergo training and things of that nature ongoing?
Sure. So I regularly...
Y'all, I was this close to thinking I would be an ME. I just realized that I pass out at the sight of blood, so this was never going to be a thing for me. But I did feel like I had been seen when the medical examiner said that in MIB. I did feel seen. And thank you for becoming a member, Snipe Hunter. I always want to say Sniper Hunter. Look, that being said, I didn't sleep well last night. I love that my doctor's willing to listen to me, but we're trying off-label stuff and it's not helping my insomnia. So I'm getting a lot of notes taken, but I'm also tired.
Attend the American Academy of Forensic Sciences as well as the American Association of Biological Anthropology conferences, which isn't exactly training per se, but it's just demonstrating continuing education because that's where we get to see stuff before it's published.
And do you know someone by the name of Dr. Clara Ralston?
Yes, she is my former postdoc.
And where did you work with her?
She was at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas in my lab as a postdoc scholar. Now she is at the New York City Office of the Coroner Medical Examiner as a forensic anthropologist.
So she's a forensic anthropologist as well?
Correct.
Okay. As a forensic anthropologist, I think you mentioned that there are consults that you do. What are the types of questions that you're tasked with investigating when you get a consult?
Sure. So it depends on the case, right? So sometimes we're asked to assist with an identification if they don't know who the person is. Sometimes if they know who the person is, or maybe they don't, we get asked to assist with trauma, which is traumatic injuries, which can include blunt force, sharp force, high velocity projectile trauma or gunshot wounds, and thermal alterations.
Can you walk us through what all of those terms mean, please?
Yeah. So blunt force trauma is probably the most commonly known one.
So we're going to probably speed through a lot of this. Basically, suffice it to say, a forensic anthropologist is going to be looking at the bony features or the skeletal features of the body to determine if there are any markings or anything on the bone that they can further study and maybe give opinions on what type of tool it might have been used on the bone. Forensic anthropologists are frequently used in older cases when, the body has unfortunately decomposed to try to see if there are any indications of violence. So that's kind of what they do. They are brought in to consult, quite famously in the Chandler Halderson case and the Joel Guy Jr. case. They're kind of needed in dismemberment cases, simply to try to understand the mechanism by which the limb was taken off the body and try to match it to accoutrement of, dismemberment at the scene. It's a pretty cool job, but it involves a lot of math, which is why I didn't go into it.
This occurs when a force is traveling at a relatively slow speed and impacts a relatively large area of the body. So like a motor vehicle accident usually causes blunt force trauma, for example. Sharp force trauma is when an implement that has a small surface area impacts a small area of bone with a relatively low amount of force, such as knives, such as saws. High velocity projectile trauma includes gunshot wounds and other types of trauma that has a small surface area that is traveling at a high speed or high velocity. Thermal alterations are heat or fire related trauma.
And can you sort of describe for the members of the jury here What is your role as a forensic anthropologist, and how does that complement a medical examiner or a coroner's work?
So a medical examiner is a forensic pathologist who's a medical doctor, and I am not a medical doctor. I have a PhD in anthropology, so my trajectory is different. I work with what we call hard tissue. So this includes bone and cartilage. So forensic anthropologists specialize in the human skeleton. Forensic pathologist is typically looking for any soft tissue damage or changes from pathology. And so if they need additional information, they will call a forensic anthropologist to testify, or write a report on something specific, such as identification or traumatic injuries when it impacts bone and cartilage.
Now, what are some of the processes you do during a consult? Can you walk us through that process?
Yeah, so it varies. If you have, it varies based on the nature of the remains. So sometimes you get fully skeletonized remains, which means there's no soft tissue left. All the skin, muscle, organs are gone. Sometimes you have fully fleshed individuals that have traumatic injuries, and that might include blunt force, sharp force, gunshot wounds, where the pathologist calls us in and says, okay, we have this, we want more information about it. Can you help us by looking at this more specifically at the bone level? And we'll go in, we'll advise on how we need the sample or the specimen, and they'll move forward with removing it for us and providing it to us. So it basically depends on what the request is.
Okay, so
Yeah, so this is actually a good kind of thing to go over with a jury, because the state does need to be able to, show a chain of custody, especially on the body when we're missing the head. And we do kind of have to show providence of them. So who was the one that removed these samples? Why were they done? What else was done with them? The state has to be accountable for any and all changes in any evidence. And those changes include location, where they were studied. So it is interesting because every locality is going to be different. And in Las Vegas and Nevada, they are asking that the ME do the, taking of the samples, and then the forensic anthropologist is given those samples per request.
ultimately you get a request and
Yes.
you follow through with
Correct.
the request, and that request is typically a question that needs answering.
Correct. Yes. So
Within your-
sometimes it's tool mark, sometimes it's is there trauma, or a lot of times is it trauma, or were they scavenged by a coyote? Right.
So
and
a
so
broad
yeah.
range of things.
Yeah, it's a broad range of things that we get asked with a very specific intent of like what they want an answer to.
Now you mentioned sharp force trauma or cases about
I mean, if it happens to come that, the woodland creatures take me, I do want to make a forensic anthropologist work really hard to try to understand what and how I was attacked by, the same killer deer.
how many of those have you worked on in your career?
I've worked on 64 cases with actual report that I've generated reports for. 2 of those were sharp force trauma.
Have you ever worked on decapitations in your career?
I've only worked on 1.
And then I guess turning your attention to 2023, in your work, do you recall receiving a referral from the Clark County Coroner's Office in that year?
Yes, I do.
And did that referral include examining the remains of a Jonathan Willett?
I didn't know the decedent's name at the time, but yes.
Okay. But during your work on the case, you did develop what his name was, correct?
Yes, correct.
And you did an analysis of those remains, correct?
Correct.
Can you walk us through how you essentially got those remains and walk us through how that
Yeah,
happened?
sure. So it was sometime in August 2023. I got a call from the coroner's office, and the doctor wanted us to come in and give our, feedback on what we could do with assessing tool mark analysis, because it was a sharp force trauma incident. So myself and my postdoc, Dr. Clara Ralston at the time, went down to the office. We looked at the decedent and told them, okay, well, this is what we would need for you to do, is to excise this portion of the neck so that we can look at it more specifically under our stereo microscope. And so they excised that part. They macerated it, which is removal of the soft tissue, in their office under Dr. Clara Ralston's supervision, and then those remains were then packaged, chain of custody was followed, and it was transported by Dr. Ralston to our lab. That is when we...
Okay. But see, y'all, I might not have been good at math or memorizing Latin and historical understanding and population kind of markers, but the reason anthropology always fascinated me is because you get to work with skeletons. Like, there is no icky, oozy, grossy stuff. it is skeleton. Once you are looking at it, there's nothing oozy. It's just a skeleton. And I thought, with my squeamish stomach, I could maybe be able to handle that. But then I realized that, yeah, I'd have to go to the ME's office and explain which parts I needed. Again, I'm glad there are people with talent out there to do it, because it wouldn't be me. I'd be passed out on the floor so many times OSHA would ban me from work.
Go through the intake records on our part to make sure everything is present, nothing has been tampered with, and so we unbox it, take photos of that process. Once that is all completed, that's when we start our analysis, and we keep detailed bench notes that inform our report.
As part of conducting your analysis, are there photos taken of what you're examining?
Everything. Yes, we take lots and lots of photos. So those include photos with a digital SLR or digital camera, as well as with a microscope, which is called a stereo microscope. It's not like what you would traditionally think of as a microscope. It's looking at a higher or a lower level magnification.
And prior to testifying, you did look through
I did.
this package.
Yes.
Many photos here, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, permission to publish?
These are all gonna be.
Yes, Your Honor. Okay. By stipulation between the parties.
Okay, y'all can tell I can tell I didn't have a lot of sleep, because I keep waiting for the skull to pipe in, Mystery Science Theater. She takes a lot of film. I mean, the pictures we take. I'm not saying that, a anatomical puppet of a skull making wisecracks during trials is something that I'm going to push for when I'm president, but maybe.
Showing states 495. What do we see there?
Yeah, so that is the paper bag that the remains were transported into our lab. That is a picture of the inside of our lab. So it's an unopened, stapled bag with the case number on it. And so that we take right before we open the bag to show the bag is unopened. This is how it arrived at our lab.
Then showing you 496. Mm-hmm. Is this the inside of the bag you just mentioned?
Correct. So that is the inside of the bag. The staples have been removed.
A little dark, but 498. Yeah. Do we see that there are contents to this bag?
Yes.
And would those be the samples that you had requested from the clerk
That's
of the
correct.
coroner's office?
Yes.
So you've unpackaged these items. What do you do next?
Yeah, so once everything is unpackaged, that's documented, we start our report writing and our bench notes. We date everything, we say who's there, and then we describe the remains and what they look like. So these were macerated, again, that means the removal of soft tissue. So the bones look a little different because they were processed. So we describe what they look like, the exact anatomical position that, or the elements is what we would call them, the exact skeletal elements that we have, and anything else that we observe during that process.
Specifically, do you recall which items you were examining?
Mm-hmm. Yes. So we had possession of, so these are cervical vertebrae, which are parts of the neck, which is, so I brought this as a specimen so you could exactly see what we're looking at. The neck.
Do you mind actually stepping closer
okay.
to the jury just so that they
Sure.
can see what you're pointing to? I think that might be helpful.
Yes. Okay. So this is the head. The head meets up with what we call the cervical vertebrae, which are 7 vertebrae that make up your neck. And that lets you go all around with your head, right? And so what we had possession of was, so this up here is C1, which is cervical vertebra 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we had part of part of cervical vertebra 2. We had almost all of 3. We had 4 and part of 5. And so this was the part that was removed, was from 5 up to the part that we didn't have anything above that. So these were the ones that we did review, the C3 primarily for the trauma analysis.
So she cut fairly close to the actual base of the skull. Again, the fact that they had nothing of C1, so the very top vertebrae, she was very close, which does kind of go with my theory. If she was leaning him over the side of the bed with his, excuse me, Detective Puppet, we need to do a little bit of explainerating. I'm glad that I have an anatomical puppet just to explainerate as I push all the buttons. Okay, so I had always assumed that she had him laying on the edge of the bed, kind of with his head hyperflexed or hyperextended, whichever way. So basically, she was making space, whichever way she either hyperflexed or hyperextended the neck, whichever had the greatest kind of space between the vertebrae, because that's how you make space between those very closely stacked bones. I mean, not that I should be deeply thinking about that, but that was what I was thinking about. So it does make sense that it would be rather high up because that is. Look, I'm not giving her credit for being a genius.
Is there anything interesting about the front of the skull based on your analysis after just pointing to the vertebrae that you think is important to note?
The front of the skull?
So the front of the neck.
Okay, let's go back to where I was just at, because I was. Don't try to move your mouse with your left hand if you don't actually.
Was from 5 up to the part that we didn't have anything above that. So these were the ones that we were doing the C3 primarily for the trauma analysis.
Is there anything interesting about the front of the skull based on your analysis after just pointing to the vertebrae that you think is important to note?
The front of the skull?
So the front of the neck.
Well, so the anatomy of the neck is complex, just as the rest of the spinal column. So the bones of the neck meet up at many different joints. So we have joints back here. We have a joint up in the front as well. And so when or if you were trying to take this apart, like if we were learning in a classroom, I would take this apart, right? And I'd show you all the different groups, right? So I kind of pass these around so they can see that. Okay. So these are two different examples of.
I am loving this forensic anthropologist. She came, with demonstratives because this is incredibly complex. She is correct that the vertebral structure of the neck is really complex. And if you're bad at geometry, I mean, seeing it is really the way you can understand how incredibly difficult it was to do this and how one might have hyperextended the neck in order to ease the facilitation of this. But I like that she's bringing in demonstratives because it really is hard to kind of, if you've never seen the neck vertebrae, kind of understand what they are.
Cervical vertebrae. So you can see how small they are. That's when you see these pictures, I'm going up a lot. So that's cervical vertebrae 2 and 1, or excuse me, 2 and 3, which is where the cut marks go through, are those 2 vertebrae. So the complexity of the joints between your vertebrae make it difficult to take them apart. And they're very, very strict, which is why when you move, your spinal column is like the base of all of your movement. And so there's many different joints here that make it complicated to actually remove or take them apart.
But not impossible, correct?
No, not impossible.
All right, if you don't mind taking a seat, doctor. So you mentioned that obviously a lot of photos were taken during your examination. Was there a grouping of photos that had annotations on them as well?
Yeah, so, when we write reports, we know what we're looking at in photos, but we want everyone else to know exactly what we're looking at. So what we'll do is we'll annotate them with different colored boxes or arrows in order to show exactly the features that we are trying to display.
Now then, I am going to publish State 603. Can you describe for the members of the grand jury what we're seeing here and what was of note during your analysis?
Yeah, so this is cervical vertebra 3, which was being passed around. So you see how small that is when you're handling it, right? So that's blown up a bit because it's on a screen. But what we're looking at is the sharp force trauma that was analyzed for tool mark analysis on this bone. So the white boxes are in 5 different parts. Those represent what we I guess you'll probably ask me about this, what we determined was caused by a mechanically powered saw. So those are shaved off and polished. It's hard to see because it's such a small bone. The orange arrows are pointing to an area where there are incisions or cut marks that were not made by a mechanically powered saw. And so there's 2 different features there, which is what this overview is picturing. The other thing in this image is there's a tiny part of C2 or the cervical.
There's actually a mouse in front of you, so if you want to hover.
I will not click it. I was informed beforehand not to do that. Yes. So this, can you see that? Yeah. Okay. This part right here is the bottom or the body of cervical vertebra 2, which also got
Now, I will say it's interesting because in the Chandler-Halderson case, we were able to see the bony features. They weren't considered too graphic to be shown on stream. I'm guessing the judge in this case ruled differently, and courts are, courts are flexible enough to allow judges to make rules in their own courtroom, and it might have been a separate ruling that not even the anthropology pictures or even the pictures of bones could be shown. But I do find it interesting because, like I said with Chandler Halderson, we were able to kind of see all the pictures of what they were streaming.
passed around because it meets up with C3. So this is the bottom of C2. It has it has sharp force trauma through it, which is, and it's still articulated, or it still meets up with C3 here. These parts here in the white boxes are showing, again, that polishing that we saw in our analysis that's consistent with a mechanically powered saw that made those marks. And the orange arrows here and there, 3 different parts, are showing incision or cut marks made by a hand-powered implement.
So just to stop you there, Doctor,
yeah.
2 separate implements we see evidence of here.
Correct.
And what is the evidence that you see to make that determination?
Yeah, so there's a fair amount of, we use a lot of, verified experimental research as well as case studies to back up our findings based on the features of the defects, which is what we would call these. So there's defects in bone, meaning it does not look like it's anatomically normal. I'll start with the hand-powered tool or the cut marks from that with the orange arrows. So those, can you show some of the other images? Because those will be more helpful to show.
Absolutely. Showing
how we determine that.
604?
That's good. Yep. So that small area is the small, I don't know who has the C3 anymore. Yeah.
I really appreciate that they got a professor that teaches class. You can tell that this woman is accustomed to breaking things down into understandable, relatable, kind of portions without being condescending. This is one of the better experts as far as being engaging and really bringing in multiple ways for the jury to kind of experience and understand what she's trying to tell them. Because, this is such a niche study that, kind of the way vertebra or even, the spine looks might be somewhat foreign to people. So she's really thought ahead and tried to bridge the gap between what, the normal layperson would know and what she is trying to tell them in an easy way. And with as many different, styles of learning between visual and kind of tactile. So I'm actually impressed.
Okay. I can tell you exactly where it is and what you're looking at. All right. Is there a way for me to show them besides do you want me to just point? Point? Okay.
Whatever you prefer.
So this is C3, and it's specifically between my fingernails. This is how small the area you're looking at. So this is a joint with C2, which is above it. So this means up with C2. This is a joint. So you're looking at horizontal ridges in this joint right here. Okay? And those are very uneven and they're not parallel. You can kind of see that, okay, they're all over the place. And so that's typical of a hand-powered instrument, not a mechanically powered instrument. And that's how we determine, okay, that's a hand-powered instrument. It's the striations, which are kind of those scratch marks you see running across the screen, are all over the place. If it were mechanically powered, you'd expect it to be more uniform. The other thing you see with the black arrow, I don't know if you can see that very well. We'll point it out now that you know the area we're looking at on here. So here are the what we would call striations or grooves, which were made by a sharp implement or a point, something that has a bevel, and all knives have bevels, so that's how you make your cut marks. Right here, where this black arrow is pointing, is so the direction, we can tell that the direction was from the back to the front, and it was with a hand-powered implement, because this right here is a chip. Do you see that kind of triangle? And it's not a perfect triangle. Kind of
Yes, right underneath the arrow, correct?
Right underneath that. That's a chip. So that's called exit chipping. So when you're cutting something, sometimes you pull the implement out and a chip will fall off. So that's showing the direction of the implement.
And I just want to stop you right there. So we're able to see the
Okay, I just want to stop right there because let me explain to you how Mo's squirrel mind works. I will remember down to verbatim what an exit cut is and how it will be characteristically, shown in bone. Will I remember Mr. Mo's phone number that he's had 15 years? No, but I will probably remember because this is utterly fascinating to me. But Mr. Mo's phone number, God bless the contacts list is all I've got to say.
this implement was back to front. Is that correct?
That's correct. So that was back to front. Again, back is, back here. So it was the implement was traveling in that direction. Okay.
And that's based on your examination with a microscope
Yep.
of the grouping.
Correct.
Showing you 605.
Yeah,
What is of note here?
that's the same area. So now instead of looking at that little joint from what we'd call posterior or the back, you're looking at it from the side. So specifically this little arrow right here, this is a very small area. So the scale isn't showing up very well here, but this is less than a millimeter, which is, I don't know, I can't do it. It's like that, very small. So this here is a V shape. You can see it's a V-shaped defect. We call that a kerf mark. A kerf mark is the actual base or the floor and the walls of where a sharp instrument has entered bone. Okay, so it kind of looks like a trough or I don't know how else to describe that. It's a V-shaped defect. And so you see the floor comes to a point, and you see the walls make a V. So that's typical of a non-serrated or serrated knife. So saws have larger, like their tooths are spread apart for the most part. The only other saw that could make this is a very fine-toothed bow saw, but it's most consistent with a non-serrated or serrated knife because knives come to a bevel, and that is a V shape.
So it would be handheld but not powered. Is that what you're saying?
Yep. It's a so yeah, all of these evidences that you're presenting, the photos, this is like very clear that, the cross section of the implement was a V shape. It's consistent with a knife, and then the way the striations are going across the joint are uneven, and they're not.
Best of luck. First, best Gigi. I know those days. I remember those days of just praying that one of the children could take a nap.
Uniform, and that's again consistent with a hand-powered implement.
So we're still talking about hand-powered implement.
Yep, we're still talking about one of the tools that was used.
Okay. Showing 606. What do we see there?
Okay, so that's the bottom of C2. So you're looking at C3 and I keep forgetting I can use this.
Yeah, use
yeah.
mouse.
So this is cervical vertebra 3 that you can see in the background. This part here is, again, the bottom.
And Christine Fortuno is one of the OGs of this channel. She was a supporter when I was just a baby content creator. And she's also a content creator. So give her a look, give her a sub, and let's keep supporting each other. All of my kiddos could be little heifers. Although I swear the one that about made me question my sanity was my youngest daughter, because she had about 2.5 to 3 weeks in the NICU. She was used to a new person on shift every, 8 hours, every 12 hours. So yeah, she just would look at me the entire, and she's a night owl, and it was just not a good thing. I was so glad when she learned to sleep through the night.
Bottom of cervical vertebra 2 that was left on top of C3. Now, this right here is a piece that is missing. Again, I referenced exit chipping earlier in the other slide where you saw the little V shape. This is also a little chip that exited. This shows you directionality again. So this is the front of the body where this is. So this is the anterior front of the body. So you're looking like in the front here. You can't see it very well because the skull's on top. But that means the direction was from back to front, and the chip exited towards the front of the body.
So again, showing directionality.
Correct.
Showing you then 607. What do we see here?
So these, again, are striations. These are incomplete cut marks or incisions that you see the orange arrows pointing to. So this, again, C3 here, this is the back of the body. This is where the back is. You're looking at, again, a very small area we call it the lamellar. It's just a little.
And again, the explanation and the actual, visual reference in front of them of how incredibly tiny these marks are. Because if you have a juror like me that cannot do kind of spatial visualization, I lack. I have a great imagination, but when you try to do spatial distancing and estimations, I can't visualize. So while we're on tangenty stuff, so every time I look to buy something like a lamp or anything that goes in my room, I have to have Mr. Mo like stand there with a tape measurer, because otherwise it could be 6 feet tall to 6 inches tall. It doesn't make sense. Even with the little doodad with Amazon where it's like, see it in your room. No, I need Mr. Mo there with a tape measure.
Piece of bone that covers your spinal cord. So it's right here that you're looking at. And so the cut marks, if I just put my fingernail in there, they're probably smaller than that, but they're right here. So the other cut marks were here. These are here. And so you can see there's a couple different areas that the hand-powered, non-serrated or serrated knife would have hit.
So, in analyzing these remains, you were able to determine that 2 implements were used. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, and they were what again?
So there was a hand-powered, non-serrated or serrated. We could not determine exactly. It was a single, straight blade of some sort. And then the second one is a mechanically powered saw.
Now, are you able to determine which implement was used first? Well, so let me pose it this way. Hypothetically, how hard is it to cut through bone with a handheld knife or cut through a neck?
So knives, anyone who has knives in their kitchen knows that they should be used for soft stuff. Like, if you're cutting chicken or beef, you're cutting through the flesh of the stuff.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but past Mo needs to hear this. School-age Mo. Steak knives are not for whittling. And there's the important fact that whittlers cut away from their fingers, not towards their fingers. So I don't know whose youngest, most feral needs to hear this, but A, do not whittle without your mother's permission. B, do not whittle with a steak knife. And C, do not whittle toward your fingers. Because now I have a J scar on one of my fingers from, again, my attempted, Davy Crockett Mo period.
You're trying to eat. If you try to cut through bone with that, it's not going to work. It's just going to leave an incision because bone is too hard. So I don't want to say it's impossible because there are bones that if you use enough force, maybe. But saws are made for a reason. Saws, the teeth are such that they are made to cut through hard material such as wood or bone. That is their job. And so when they're actually going through bone, they're creating a waste material by, if anyone has cut, wood, that it creates wood chips, okay, when you're actually sawing through wood. So I don't want to say it's impossible, but it's very, very difficult to cut through bone with a run-of-the-mill knife.
You would need a tremendous amount of force with a handheld knife, right? In order to cut through bone?
And a lot of persistence.
Okay. Now, how about a powered saw?
So mechanically powered saws are made for ease of use, right? So that saves you time, and it is doing the work of the energy transfer for you. So when you're dealing with a hand-powered implement, you are the one supplying.
Okay, I know I'm imagining a Dremel, and it's probably not that. It's probably one of those little hacksaw-y things, or sawzalls, or what. It's not the tool I'm thinking, but I'm hysterically giggling in my head thinking she used a Dremel for some reason, which I should not be thinking is funny. But like I said, about 2 hours of sleep last night, so this is the Mo you get.
The energy. A mechanically powered instrument such as a saw is producing the energy for you, which is why you need a battery or some other power source, right? And so it's doing the work for you and doing the cutting part, or what we would call the you know, because when you're cutting something, it's like you go back and forth, but a mechanically powered saw is doing that for you. So that is going to make it a lot easier because you are not exerting force yourself or energy yourself. The instrument is doing that for you.
Are you able to determine, you know, what brand of knife, what type of knife was used
So that's
first?
called, so we can determine roughly the class of the tool, which is what we did in this instance. Sometimes, and anthropologists typically don't determine an exact tool. That's not our job. Those are tool mark experts, which are beyond our training. Now, because of the type of bone this is, vertebrae have what's called trabecular bone in them. It means it has spongy bone. When you look at a cut mark, can I pass this around?
Up to the judge.
Okay. So this is.
This woman is like, her show and tell game is on point. This woman aced show and tell in kindergarten. She probably had one of them trifold, you know, posters and was like, blood ow. This is my sandwich puppet. Again, I don't know why this tickles me today because I'm such a picky eater that none of this would be eaten by me except for the bread. And yes, I am that picky. I would pick the bread off and eat it. But I wouldn't complain because that's the one rule in my mom's house. You could make yourself a bowl of cereal or eat dinner, but what you couldn't do was complain. So I learned to I would like pick out what I wanted to eat. And I mean, I don't mean to brag, but I can take down a full box of Life cereal on my own self.
I think it's cow bone. It's not human. Thomas. So
But is it still symbolic of what a human would look like?
Yeah, so this is symbolic of what bone looks like when it's cut through. So this is a saw mark through what we call cortical bone. Cortical bone is very thick. This is a long bone. But cervical vertebrae don't look like this. They have what's called trabecular bone, which looks like spongy bone, so it's a sponge. So if you want, does anyone want to touch it? You don't have to. No. But you can see the striations in there too, and you can feel the cut mark itself. But that's cortical bone. That would have been, that's easy to determine, or relatively easy, assuming you have the right parts, to determine further what the type of saw that would have been used for. Now, because of the cervical vertebra, how they're designed anatomically, they don't have a lot of cortical bone. They have trabecular bone. So trabecular bone is spongy. It'd be like looking at a bunch of open spaces and trying to find those striations that you see on the bone that's getting passed around. It's not possible, for the most part. So, yeah, so it depends on the bones in the body. These bones in particular, you're not able to get more specific, which is why we stated it the way we did.
And I don't know if I can simplify it or
Okay.
Tell me if I'm oversimplifying.
I probably overextended
Now,
it, so.
if it's a smaller bone, sometimes it's harder to make further determinations because you're dealing with a smaller bone versus a larger
It's
bone.
not just the size of the bone, it's the structure. So that's what I was trying to get at, is the structure of the bone is different, where if you have a lot of that thick cortical bone and you cut through it with an instrument, then you can see that the features that are necessary to make a call on the specific type of saw that was used. These do not have that type of structure because they're small and because they are primarily made of trabecular bone, which is spongy bone, which is some of that you saw in the images too, where you saw these air spaces that were in there. That's the trabecular bone that has been exposed.
Okay. Now, I've stood next to you. You're a petite individual. Is it possible for a petite individual to have decapitated
Well,
in this way?
mechanically powered saws do the work for you. So the energy transfer is coming from the saw. So, and they're made so that many different types of people can use them to do, you know, whatever it is they're going to do with that saw. So many different people could use a mechanically powered saw to cut through hard material such as wood or bone.
So it wouldn't be impossible for a smaller female to do so, correct?
I don't know if I want to comment on that specifically, but the energy transfer from the mechanically powered saw makes it so many different types of people can operate that tool to get through harder material.
But there's females and males that
Yes.
use that
Oh,
tool
yeah.
in life,
Mhm.
correct?
Yeah.
And they're able to do so.
Yes.
No. Just like the washing machine, as I have told Mr. Moe, I have looked at the manual, and you do not, in fact, need a uterus to operate it. You do not need a peen to operate power tools. I just don't have the desire, and Mr. Moe doesn't have the, well, he doesn't. Look, I need to be nowhere near power tools. I need nowhere near power tools. I do enough damage to myself with a curling iron and shaving my legs. and walking into corners. I really don't need, to give death and Final Destination any more chances to off me. That's what I wrote it as in my
So
notes.
just to be clear, the incision happened back to front in this case, correct?
That's correct.
2 implements were used, correct?
Correct.
That was a knife.
Possibly a knife. There is a very slight chance it could have been a very fine-toothed bow saw, but it's likely a non-serrated or serrated knife.
Okay, and that was based on your conclusions, right?
Yes.
Okay, and then also a powered saw, correct?
A mechanically powered saw, yes.
Okay, I know this is going to be a dumb question, and I'm guessing much like sweating pipes not actually using sweat and monkey wrenches not actually being used on monkeys, is the bow saw simply for making bows? Or is it pronounced bow saw and you're making boats? I don't know. I mean, I knew they're like big saws, little saws. I had no idea there were saws for bows or bow saws. I'm guessing they're not just for bows and arrows, but I mean, that would be my educated guess. I guess I'll have to ask next time I go to Lowe's.
Past witness, Your Honor.
Oh,
Yes, thank you. Dr. Burns, let me just preface my questions of you that we take no issue with your findings.
Okay.
You were asked a question just a moment ago whether or not it would be possible if a small woman could have done this, and you said you didn't want to give an opinion as to that, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I would reference the user manual for a mechanically powered saw.
that makes sense. I guess I mean, it would be cool if it was just a saw where it was like a sacred saw and you had to, use it to cut your archery supplies. Well, I guess most people don't use wooden bows and arrows anymore. I don't know. Again, probably another sport that's not for Mo, archery.
To see who should or should not or could
But
operate that.
I'm sorry, I did not mean to interrupt you.
Yep, you're fine.
But all things being equal, it would be easier for a large person, let's say a 6'4", 205-pound person, to sever this vertebrae than a smaller person, 5'3", 130 pounds.
Again, I'm not going to comment on the capabilities of different individuals on their ability to operate a mechanically powered saw.
Okay, but you'll agree with me that a larger person is more powerful generally than a smaller person, in general.
I mean, assuming they have full capabilities and they're not disabled and all of that.
Absolutely healthy.
Again, I don't want to comment on the capabilities of different people. Mechanically powered saws do the work for you.
Absolutely.
This woman truly believes that Atomic Blonde could in fact take down not 5 Navy SEALs because woman power. I'm just making this up. I think she's like, look, I'm not going to go into hypotheticals. As long as you are able to read and have the ability to work with power tools unsupervised, you could get it done. Yes, it would. On the baseline of his question, it is a reasonable question. The problem with it is, yes, it would be easier if you're a bigger person, to maneuver the body, things like that. But again, a smaller person would struggle with that, but the power saw does all the work. I do kind of wonder if the battery went dead, because I do know that Mr. Mo is very, very good at, as soon as he takes the battery off, and replaces the dead battery with a new battery, he is putting that other battery on charge, because there is nothing like your husband being irritated because we had a power outage and the spare battery is not charged. And then listening to him being irritated because he can't get work done. Because that's the one thing Mr. Mo will get grumpy about. If he had a plan on the agenda, if he had projects to do, and then, life conspires so he cannot get said project done. And I feel him because I get the same way. But that is like one of the main things that irritates Mr. Mo.
Let me ask you this question. Generally, a larger, healthy person is stronger than a smaller, infirm person.
Yes.
Fair? You had testified concerning the complex nature of the vertebrae in the human neck,
Yeah,
correct?
sure.
And when you discussed this complexity, are you talking about the interlocking nature of the vertebrae?
Yes.
As in this case, we had part of C2 severed, correct?
Correct.
And that was included in your analysis concerning C2 and C3.
Correct.
So when we talk about this complexity, it's because you've got these bones that are entwined.
That's
per se.
right. Yes.
You had testified that this area, specifically C2, C3, is very, very sturdy.
Yes.
Sturdy and complex.
Yes.
So is an oak tree, but it will still fall to a saw. I don't get what we're getting at. Again, the fact is, if I had the inclination and Mr. Moe gave me the safety, class about how to use the saw, I could go cut the firewood that he does with the axe. I could go do that myself. Yes, it would still require effort of hefting said saw and not chopping off any limbs of my own, but I can do it. This defense attorney, I talked before about lawyers sometimes, and especially with experts, being bullheaded enough to, again, try to not realize when you're not going to get a witness off of wherever they are. I mean, after the second question where he was trying to get her to say, a smaller woman couldn't have done this. Once she stuck with that owner's manual tool and sort of the vague generalities, but wouldn't, go into hypotheticals anymore, you should take this as a sign that she is not going to get off of this particular thing and then either reword it or go on to another topic. Because again, it's frustrating for the jury, and it does look a bit badgery. Now, it's not officially badgering. The judge is usually good, along with the opposing party, if the lawyers are getting over the line and into aggressive or badgering. But still, it's one thing that annoys me, because there's nothing more irritating than trying to fight against a person who has decided they are not getting off this hill. They are dying on this hill. It is an exercise in futility, and there are other ways to go about it. Well, that's cool. Hey, good work if you can get it. Doing court stuff, not having
This
to go
knife,
to court.
obviously, you were not given any sort of a sample, and you said that's beyond your area of
that's correct.
expertise. No comparisons.
Correct.
Same thing with the question concerning the mechanically powered saw. Again, no comparisons.
That's
that you're
correct.
Aware of. But we know that it was a knife.
Yes.
Well, or you said a very fine, another serrating instrument. In addition,
So the hand-powered instrument was either a non-serrated or serrated knife, most likely, and very unlikely, but possible, a fine-toothed bow saw for the hand-powered one. The mechanically powered one could be any number of saws. We don't have enough evidence to say one way or another. Now, I wasn't told, they just wanted an analysis done. I was not told any number of instruments when I was given the specimens.
understood. So in reference to the hand-powered knife, that still could have been electric, perhaps, but very fine.
So I don't know about a hand, like you're saying, like a mechanically powered knife.
Correct. In addition to a mechanically powered
Like
saw.
a turkey
Yeah, so
carver?
anything mechanically powered would produce very uniform striations, whether it was a knife that was mechanically powered or not. These were very uneven and in different directions, so unlikely.
Actually, the defense asked a good question here. Now, the answer is not very good for them. And again, just bringing the thought of a turkey carver is another force multiplier. It's another thing that's going to ease the facilitation of decapitation without the person needed to be bulky. So MLS, it looks like they started with a knife, hand-powered of some sort, and then realized that power tools are easier. possibly because they didn't know how complex the vertebral column is in the cervical spine. So your neck spine, or your neck, the spinal or vertebrae in your neck, they're very interlocking and interconnected. So it's not the easiest thing to, you know, well, uncapitate, if you will.
Unlikely but possible, perhaps.
Probably
That
not.
might work.
But you are very comfortable in your testimony and your conclusion that we had a mechanically powered saw.
Correct.
And that was given the nature of basically the injury to C2 through C3.
Correct.
You are unable to opine as to the width of the saw blade, anything of that nature?
If so, that we don't have enough evidence for. If you had the other pieces of the vertebra that were missing in this case, and if there were what we call false starts, which would have produced a kerf floor, which is the bottom of the cut mark, we would have been able to say more, but we cannot say anything more than what we said in the report.
These cuts that you examined through C2, C3, the complex, sturdy vertebrae, consistent with the sawzall?
Can you restate that?
Yeah, consistent, what you saw, findings, would that be consistent with?
With the mechanically powered saw?
Correct.
Yes.
Are you able to opine as to what kind?
No.
Okay. Are you able to opine as to consistency? Like if I ask you, if, hey, we have a sawzall that's generally used for cutting through drywall, things of that nature, would that be consistent with your findings here, having been used?
A drywall saw?
A sawzall.
Yes, so it can include any mechanically powered saw. Yes.
Fair. And you're not able to opine as to whether it was battery powered or plug-in, correct?
No.
Okay, I feel like that's a question my dumb behind would ask, but not someone who has actually functionally used a power tool.
Are you able to opine as to the amount of time this may have taken?
You mean the time in which it was inflicted on the neck?
Correct.
No. I should say, when we were invited to the office to assess the decedent was fully fleshed. So in our assessment of bone, we call something perimortem, when a defect is, made on a bone at, around, or shortly after the time of death, meaning our interval is wide. I cannot, like a forensic pathologist could tell you different things based on soft tissue. Hard tissue reacts in a wider scale. So we cannot tell if it happened shortly before, at, or shortly after time of death. It could have been any of those, according to.
No, this is a fair question. I am the princess. A chainsaw is different than a mechanical saw that she's talking about. So there were two different implements, and they say a hand-powered knife, where I would just call it a knife. And then she says a mechanically powered tool or saw. So she's talking about basically a power saw of some sort and a knife, a regular one. Why they use a hand-powered knife, I mean, literally it's true, but it's not something I would generally say. I am surprised. Sometimes they are able to tell whether a blade, one of the marks has been made by either a serrated or a smooth blade. But again, she has explained how incredibly small and, tiny these markings are. And we don't have the head. We don't have the, other part of the jigsaw to do comparison pieces and other measurements to get more into what could possibly have been used. And then she wouldn't be the one to opine on that. That would be a tool mark analysis. And she's said that in her testimony with the state, and she's reiterated that, I believe, with the defense.
Our analysis of bone, on how bone reacts to those implements.
So, and please tell me if I'm oversimplifying this, but it's hard to give a window. Whether the person had just died, correct?
We cannot give so it could have been right before they died. They were still alive. It could have been
not very
at
big.
the time of.
Where's that? So the pieces of the vertebrae were even smaller than this. She had them 3D printed. I would scroll back just a little bit when she was talking to the jury, but they were not even the width of this, maybe a bit thicker, but these are not so big bones. At least that's what it looked like to me. Again, with the caveat that I have terrible spatial awareness. So that's what it looked like to me. And then the rest of the spine, the rest of C2 and C1 and the head have never been found.
Death, or it could have been shortly after the time of death.
So it could have been before they died or after they died. This
According to the way we do our analysis with bone, it could have been at any point in time in that perimortem period, shortly before, at, or shortly after time of death.
Are you able to give an opinion concerning how long it would take a person to be decapitated?
No.
I don't think there's a Guinness World Record for it.
You
Daggone
offered your
it, I didn't
report
put it up.
in reference to your findings November 20th, 2023?
Correct.
Thank you. I have no further
Yes.
questions.
Any reason I say?
Yes, Your Honor, court's indulgence.
It will be interesting to see if the jury has any questions with this
And just
witness.
briefly, now you're not able to determine whether these incisions happen post-mortem, pre-mortem, anything like that, correct?
Correct. So our definition of perimortem with bone, because of the way bone reacts to trauma, we cannot tell if the timing is shortly before or shortly after time of death. Now we can tell if something is healed, right? So antemortem is what we call that. So healing trauma, you break a bone, it starts to heal, but bone takes a longer time to heal.
So if the forensic pathologist would have concluded that this happened post-mortem, you wouldn't have a reason to
I would have
dispute
no
that.
reason to question that. No.
Pass witness. Any comment?
Yes, are you able to give an opinion concerning whether it was a reciprocal saw or, you know what I'm saying, type of saws that go back and forth or a type of saw that goes
Oh
in a
yes.
circle?
Can I reference my report?
Please. I have no objection.
Yes. Thank you. I do not have it.
You guys have a report?
Yes, if I may approach.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so because, again, of what I talked about earlier, the structure of this bone, it has very little cortical bone, or that really, actually, who's got my cow bone over there? Okay, yeah, thank you. Because of the structure of the bone itself, we are not able to say further what type of saw it is. So it could have been any type of mechanical saw.
So you're not able to opine as to the speed of the saw, anything of
No.
that nature either? or
No,
whether-
because there's very little area that is cortical bone, which is where those features would be observable. But because of the type of bone, we didn't have enough evidence to say one way or another.
But again, and just finally, my final question in reference to this complex nature of the
Sure.
cervical spine, small but sturdy.
Yes.
Okay? Thank you. No further questions.
Any comments, okay?
No further questions, Your Honor.
Do the ladies and gentlemen, jury have any questions for this witness? Okay, seeing no response, moving on to you. Thank you very much
Okay.
for your testimony.
Thank you.
I will say I have been shocked at the lack of jury questions. Not that this is a real whodunit case. I mean, she basically left all the evidence and, you know, took the Ring camera that was supposed to be at John's mom's house to her basement, you know, and you're going to look sus when, you know, John's mother, Yoko, is talking to you at 1:32 in the morning, and her son is allegedly fine. You say he's sleeping, you know, and she wakes up in the morning to find her son headless. It's almost like people are going to connect the dots. Yeah, I have been really impressed with her. Again, the use of demonstratives to really explain and visualize some of the things that she was studying, I think really makes a lot of sense. And she should be a teacher that teaches expert witnesses to kind of try to explain things on multiple different ranges of how people learn. Some people are auditory learners; they learn by hearing. Most people are visual learners, especially with kind of understanding spatial concepts. Some people are tactile learners. So offering people a range of understanding a complex, study is really good. And she wasn't condescending. Again, it's a very hard thing to break down an incredibly complex thing into something easy to understand. In fact, I've always found that to be the most incredible kind of marker of intelligence. If you can take something incredibly complex and then, explain it in a way I can understand, because you have to be smart enough to both to understand the complexity and to understand how people will perceive it, how people will receive that information. So I like her. I wish the jury had asked her questions so we could just listen to more about like Dr. Bones and her adventures in homicidology.
Yes.
This goes back to the defense.
That makes more sense than what the defense is trying to pull.
Carrie Skinner.
You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about giving this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, look, this is not about jealousy. This woman is a beautiful woman. No shame in my game. This woman is gorgeous. But can I tell you how many times I have tried to make that ponytail with the little piece around it, and I end up looking like some 80s car wreck with a rat tail. It's terrible. So I'm not jealous of her looks because she's a gorgeous woman, but I am jealous of the fact that her hair will do this hairstyle and look, elegant instead of semi-homeless like when I attempt it. It's like that. It's like the gift of the messy bun. Some women can do it and they're like, I just woke up this way. And I'm like, I didn't do meth this day, I swear.
Yes, it's Carrie, Kari. Last name Skinner, Skinnner. Excuse me. Good afternoon.
What do you do for a living?
I work for the City of Henderson Police Department as a detective.
How long have you been with the city of Henderson in total?
It'll be 10 years in January.
And in which unit are you currently assigned as a detective?
Robbery homicide.
How long have you been with robbery homicide?
It'll be almost 3 years and 6 years as a detective.
And prior to robbery homicide, where were you assigned?
Special Victims Unit.
And what does special victims unit entail?
Basically, Special Victims Unit will investigate anything to do with child abuse, sexual assaults, things of that nature.
And in homicide, did you respond to scenes with a team?
Yes, I do.
With regard to this particular incident, did you respond to a scene on August 7th, 2023 at 2698 Paladura Drive?
Yes, I did.
Do you remember around what time you responded?
I believe that was roughly 8:40 in the morning.
And did you respond with anyone else?
I did. My fellow detectives, one of them being Detective Ozawa.
When you responded to the scene, was it already static and shut down by patrol guys?
That's correct.
When you responded to the scene, did you immediately go in, or did you do a couple things outside before?
No, there's always a few things we do before we go in and do a walkthrough.
One of those briefing,
Correct.
so you kind of know what's going on, what's happened before you got there?
Yes,
In addition to that, you need to get a search warrant, ultimately to search the home.
that's correct.
You mentioned a walkthrough. What does that mean?
So the on-scene supervisor has already gone inside with his officers. They've already had a little peek of what the scene looks like inside and what we're going to be dealing with, and they've collected information before we get there. That would be the field interviews of any on-scene witnesses, other victims, anybody that's relevant to the investigation, and then they will provide that to us, and then we go in and do the walkthrough.
During the course of your walkthrough, was it notable that there were some things missing from the scene,
Yes,
such as?
the decedent's head.
In addition to that, were any weapons found that could have caused his death?
Not that were glaringly apparent at that time.
Okay, sure, there were probably some steak knives in the kitchen, et cetera, but nothing that was within our scene.
That's
Jim.
correct.
Did you stay on scene there after the search was conducted?
I apologize. No, I actually went over to the secondary scene, which was on Porcupine Rim.
Okay. So when you go to Porcupine Rim, still on August 7th,
Okay.
Correct.
did you respond there with Detective Ozawa?
Now, there are times that I rail against our current timeline, but sometimes our timeline is so absurd, it's just the fact that a former adult film star lived on a street called Porcupine Rim when she was, I'm sure, I mean, I don't know her discography or her filmography, but I'm guessing she's familiar with rim jobs of one sort or another. But I don't know that you'd want to try it on a porcupine. I don't know what possessed anyone to name a street Porcupine Rim. I mean, other than me, I wouldn't put it past me to name, things uncomfortably erotic, furry, sexual names just because I think it's funny. But like normal people, what's your excuse? I get that I would do it, but who the hell names a street Porcupine Rim?
Yes, I did.
Did you make contact with some individuals who were either witnesses or suspects?
At that time, there were some individuals that were persons of interest. However, there were some residual people that we needed to contact that were family members.
Were a couple of those family members two small children?
Yes, they were.
And with your specialized training and kind of history with special victims, did you make contact with them?
I did.
Did you speak to them?
I did.
Did you do it in a big formal interview setting or just like kind of get on their level and talk to them as kids?
Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do what's called a child forensic interview, which is a very directed interview. It has guidelines for children, no leading or anything like that, and it has a very strict protocol on how you begin the interview, how you end it, and how you conduct yourself during that interview. Unfortunately, I was not able to provide that level of interview just based on the children's behavior at that time.
Were they kind of all over the place?
To put it politely, yes, they were very active young ladies.
Okay. Did you ask them a couple of questions, just kind of information gathering?
I did. There's a little bit of rapport building. What's your favorite toy? And they're involved. So you want to make them feel comfortable. There's a lot of strangers in their home. So I did my best to make them feel comfortable. And there was some conversations that were had with them.
Did you?
All right. Again, this is no shot at this woman. We have already said she's attractive. But ma'am, I'd be scared to death of those eyelashes. Now, Jamie pulls them off and they look natural. Those look like spider. Maybe I've been watching too much Stranger Things, but those look like spider legs just attached to her eyes. Jamie pulls them off and they look natural on her. They're just noticeably fake to me. And I'd be like, they're going to fall off. If I were a kid, I know I'd be waiting for one of those eyebrow or eyelashes to fall the hell off. Also, probably not a great pause for her. It's not even fair. Like, she's making a funny face and she still looks attractive. Mazel tov, ma'am. I'm not mad at you. Don't hate the player, hate the game and the DNA.
Did they specifically say anything about a person by the name of Debbie?
Yes.
What did they say?
They refer to him as someone that takes care of them.
Yeah.
They also referred to the fact when in passing, as we were talking to them about being in the home, there were conversations being had around them, and it did come up that Debbie had watched them the night prior.
So Debbie had been home the night prior, according to the girls?
Correct.
Okay. At some point in time, did you have an opportunity before the home is actually searched to interview a person by the name of Devin or Nikki?
Yes, I did.
What name did you know her by at that point in time?
At that point, it was Devin.
Okay. Do you see that person in court today?
I do.
Can you please point to that person, describe something she's wearing today?
Yes, she's sitting over here at this table, and she's wearing a light-colored, looks like a floral blouse.
Would the record reflect identification of the defendant?
The record so correct.
Did you record that interview with the defendant?
Yes.
And where was that interview conducted?
That interview was conducted inside Detective Ozawa's unmarked detective vehicle.
Your Honor, I would move to admit 619, interview number 2.
Any objection to 619?
No objection.
All right, 619, you admitted?
And again, this is an interview conducted before going in to search Porcupine Rim, correct?
That's correct.
It's August 7, 2023, approximately 15:08 hours, and my name is Detective John, Detective PD, badge number 1531. Also here is Detective Skinner, badge number 633. And we're here shooting again with Devin Michaels. So you already kind of talked about, so.
So actually, we have, what we talked about was that last time we left, the garage door was open on the keys, and it shuts underneath, and sit out the front door to go around the front. Because everything else I took out the front door, and that was like the last.
Okay, again, I know I'm asking a lot, but if I win your vote in 2028, Mo for president, we've elected worse. I mean, honestly, my campaign slogan is honest, and I think meets the times we're in. Anywho, and it appeals to all parties because I don't say specifically who's worse. I am thinking ahead. I do have a logic behind this. But I am going to require every single police office to have available to them quality audio recording equipment. And any court or, police department trying to use audio recorded on a Casio Speak and Spell will be fined however much money I feel like that day because it annoys me.
Is that your voice?
It is.
A little lighter. It sounds like you're a little further
Could they have recorded away from the laundromat and the row of dryers?
from the microphone.
Yes, I'm in the backseat of the vehicle.
Okay, and you said something to the effect of, we talked a little bit before this recording started.
Yes.
And then I believe what I heard was the defendant said she left the Paladura home and the garage was open, she slid something under it, and then she herself exited out the front. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
All right, we're going to resume.
And another thing that you guys spoke about is that you did release some cleaning materials from there downstairs by the bathroom and the laundry room. Yeah. And you started out as a jug and it was like something like this.
It was like this, and I think it was yellow.
Okay. It's also a long jug size, so a little bit smaller.
Yeah. I just, like I said, because I wasn't really paying attention to pay attention, it was just random stuff that was all over the house. Like,
It's a good thing for the house.
he usually cleans when he knows we're showing up. So, like, there'd be dog mess and stuff like that. So he does clean when we come down.
We also discussed his ex was shooting his town tonight. And that last night, the night that he was where, as I was away, he said to you that he threw it away.
Yeah.
Okay.
We kind of made a joke of it, 2 points, good in the judge type thing.
Okay. So, and you call, it's either that parents.
Yeah, Andrea.
You call her twice, but you're not sure if they're married or not.
No, I know they weren't married, but yeah, it was just.
Well, this is something that the girl is back.
So, again, if this love triangle couldn't get any weirder, it was actually allegedly a love quadrangle. Again, one of the many stories that Devin told was that John had actually been in a relationship with a woman named Andrea or Andrea. Again, the audio was pretty bad. But that they had broken up previously, and she was wanting to get back together with John, but John was wanting to move into the house with Devin under. Again, Devin was leading John on that they were going to get back together and that Devin was going to be moving, or Deviere was going to be moving out. Deviere was under the impression that, yes, they were all going to try to make this family work and do this weird, we all live together co-parenting thing, which I'm sure would not be the weirdest, most uncomfortable living situation ever because, your ex-lover and your current husband's father living with you to parent the children you had together, along with their stepbrother, who's also their half-brother. Yeah, not even Jerry Springer's touching this one.
I know, like I said, they were together for a few years. Since 2018, I'm sick, so they were together.
They broke up. She went to Arizona, Utah.
I think he's at Oregon one time. I think so. He says she does this like off the grid type of living. So
You're not with her, she said,
get that, yeah. She said it's kind of awkward talking to your exes. were just like randomly cleaning up the different things. Smoking in the garage. Marijuana. He smokes the cigarettes in the backyard usually, and the marijuana in the garage. I'm not sure why the difference, but. In the garage. And then I just went out the back door.
Detective, is the defendant saying that when she left, Jonathan was up and moving in the garage?
Yes.
No, I went and picked up my daughter's prescription first. Yeah, because I wanted to make sure we.
Here's the other thing that doesn't jive with her kind of, we were trying to be the super blended family. Okay. Her story is, Devin's story is that it was imperative that Jonathan move in by this particular day in August because the next morning the girls were going to be starting at a new school and John needed to register them. Well, first of all, they should have been registered prior. There's an enrollment period. Usually there's big signs in front of the prisons they call schools. And you do, in fact, enroll them prior to the first day of school. Not only that, but how are you going to be out until 3 a.m. nearly getting prescriptions at CVS on the day before you have to get your kids up early, they have to be in a routine, you have to get all of the supplies. Again, first day of school is not the day to be nursing a hangover or whatever else. Now, I say this all through the lens of a early morning, person. I am up bright and early. I like to have things organized. I am a delightful and neurotic combination of 2 type A to function and then chaotic ADHD squirrel. So maybe that is the normal for their family, but I can't imagine that this household was anything other than chaotic.
For her first day of school. Yeah, he was only in boxers when I left, because usually when I leave, he walks me out and everything. But since he wasn't really dressed.
And how would you rate his level of intoxication when you arrived last night? Like it was on a 10 scale, like 10 being the most vicious you've ever seen it, 0 being none.
No, I think he was buzzed, but I couldn't say he was way over the top now.
So maybe that's smart.
Like, I've seen him much worse.
Okay, so he was watching.
But I know he's still drinking, so I don't know how much he drank after.
Anytime you tell us wanting to sleeping or something.
I told him that I told him to go to sleep, but that was like when he was done, she didn't want to sleep at all. Well, I think when she was done playing, she just, because we had been talking, she went upstairs.
And you mentioned that while he's in the pre-work, you guys can come over and he shut off the door so the dogs aren't in. And I gave that up last night.
Yes.
So you left, do you remember if the dog door was still down?
I know the dogs were outside. I don't know if the dog door was still down because they do have that little flap. They were outside when I left.
And John was known to, okay, it depends on who you ask, but John did have signs of fatty liver disease, and there have been allegations made that he had a bit of a struggle with alcohol. Now, the defense is going to say that because of these struggles with alcohol, it was typical practice if he did start to drink that whoever was with him, his mother, Devin, anyone else, would go ahead and confiscate his keys and wallet and driver's license from him. Now, she's going to say that that is why they were septuple bagged and hidden under her thong drawer, or under her mound of thongs in her drawer in her house. Now, possibly, but do I trust Devin to be the voice of reason in anything? No. At this point, I am not ascribing any sense of logic to this woman.
It's not that they're here. So it's kind of just a non-dynamic that you guys had? It was basically kind of confusing, when we're talking to Yoko. It doesn't sound like she knows.
She doesn't know that we are married like that. She just thinks that we're still here. Because we don't really want everybody.
Yeah, so again, I am not sure who was aware of what as far as Devin and Deviere were in a real physical marriage. They had consummated their marriage. But Deviere and Devin were telling John and Yoko that they had gotten together because Devin was sick and needed medical benefits, and Deviere had a good job. Again, to be a fly on the wall during that Thanksgiving, I don't like drama in my own personal family, but I will watch that with popcorn.
In our business, because it makes sense.
Yeah. No, I get that. Just like I was saying, when I talked to Yoko and I talked to you, it was like, that we didn't realize that you and Deviere were married. Or, like, you guys been married for 2 years, you said.
Almost 2 years, but Yoko does not know that.
But are you guys, without a Deviere, it's kind of like, it sounds like you guys are married, but not because you guys love each other.
No, it's convenience. Like, I have a lot of medical issues and he's been taking care of me and the girls.
Like, so what was your reason for getting married to Deviere?
Because legally, as my spouse, he has more rights and access to things than someone just as a random.
So like the prescriptions?
He can do anything as my spouse. He actually, I had to go into a hospital in an ambulance and he's the one that took care of all of that.
Okay, so are you guys like intimate together? No. Does he sleep in your room?
Okay, so the first big lie Devin told, well, in addition to the I didn't do it lie, she's been adjudicated guilty. I don't think this case is coming up on appeal. But she told everyone, or at least the detectives at first, that she and Deviere were only in a marriage of convenience. There was no married time extracurriculars. It was strictly platonic, as it should be with your used-to-be stepson. But we, I hope, are going to get into the cringe hilarious semi-erotic or attempted erotic text messaging between the two of them. Arby's was mentioned. Buckle in.
Sometimes, like, I'll fall asleep when we watch TV, but he usually sits on the couch.
And right there. So you guys aren't really, when you say married, you're not dating, and you're not doing stuff together, you're not intimate together, and things like that.
You know, and that's why John was okay. Because John knew, and that's why he was kind of okay with everything and being able to move in.
Gotcha. And then, but there's some, he's gonna have to move out, or he was gonna have to move out.
Debbie was not happy about it, and the idea was, John was not supposed to be moving in, but because of the situation going on with his mom and Andrea, he didn't really have anywhere to go. So that's why he was going to stay. And I was not expecting him to do that this fast. We talked about him piecemealing and slowly moving things, and it went from slowly to everything got moved in one day. And he kind of got Deviere
That's right.
very quickly.
So that's so when you were talking about it earlier, saying, yeah, he wasn't good with it, but he understood. Like, trying to figure out the dynamic of everybody. Like, when you say you two are married, I'm thinking, yeah, you guys are in love, and you guys, everything, you guys are one happy family over here, and now you're bringing in your ex.
That's why we don't tell anybody we're married, because you automatically assume the word marriage, this is what you have.
Yeah.
But a lot of people get married for...
So I get it. I totally understand it.
And if you see my medical marriage, you won't.
No, you don't have... Again, if she were low enough income, she could have maybe had access to benefits for medical health. You can give someone power of attorney. You don't need to get married. They can... or medical power of attorney, and they can make the choices for you. There's a lot of things you can do besides marry your ex-partner's adult child. I don't know who needs to hear this, but going into the new year, try to date outside of your ex's family.
And sorry to hear that. Really issue and stuff. So,
When you called me, I was actually on my way to get an EEG.
yeah.
I had to switch the schedule.
You said you went and picked up your dog's prescription on the fish egg? Or after you left the house, right? Well, which place did you go to?
At CVS on Cheyenne. Seagull. I got your receipt if you need it.
It was Cheyenne, or
Seagull. Soaring balls.
Sorry, what was. And then after that, you just come straight home here?
Yes.
And then you don't remember what time you left?
No, sir, because I left and I went straight. I didn't look when it became here, so my receipt will say what time it was. Say what time it was.
Okay, so we can check just the time. Just get like a time frame. It's like when you left the other house. So then you said you weren't sure exactly when you left. And then you were telling Detective Skinner that he was just in boxer shorts when you left.
Yes, sir.
And that was inside the garage.
Yes, sir.
And he left kind of slightly open because he was kind of airing that out.
Yes, sir, because I had popped his bag and he had his boxers on, and we were on the big floor and popped his bag on. So I know he had boxers on.
Oh, that was before.
He went out to smoke.
Okay. And then was he in the garage when Yoko came down?
Yes, sir.
Because Yoko thought that he was sleeping in the.
No, sir, he was in the garage.
She was in the garage at that
Because
time.
I told him to take a nap. Well, not take a nap, but he was just sleeping off. So,
Because he was drinking and smoking. So he was in the garage when Yoko came down, and then you told Yoko what the plans were for today as far as like taking the kids and stuff like that. And then she went upstairs.
yes, sir.
And then what happened after that again?
I took like 2 more things off to my car and then I left.
Have a great
But you were.
lunch, Wolfram. Thank you for being a wonderful Modly Mod and for all of your mod duties this year. I appreciate it so much. Wolfram's been with me for a long time. So go enjoy your lunch and thank you for all of your wonderful Modly Mod duties. I appreciate it greatly.
Inside the garage with him, though.
Briefly before I left. What's on your face?
Whose phone is that?
Yeah.
What was it?
This is where Devin's defense just goes to hell in a handbasket even before she's arrested, because those charming little voices you hear in the background are her 2 children, the daughters of John, the decedent. And wouldn't you know, a weird coinkydink, because she didn't see John and she claims he had his phone. Well, that phone with blood on it and a cracked screen is right in Devin's driveway, and kids always being helpful at exactly the wrong time, they decided to come up and tell mommy about the finding his cell phone when she was getting interviewed by the cops. It's like karma is beautiful sometimes.
Oh.
Like it, sir?
Yeah, we'll go on to that then.
Thank you. Thank you. They're talking to me, and you guys are being nosy in there. Please be careful. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Cute. Hey!
So that should help you.
That's his phone. So that's his phone, you're sure?
Can you touch it?
No.
No.
Sorry.
Can I touch it? Like they're gonna let me touch it. Y'all, I just realized this literally is a Scooby-Doo mystery. She would have gotten away with it if the kids had just not been so damn ADHD and running around trying to help. And she would have gotten away with it, except for those pesky children.
That's almost screensaver. You know what's code by chance?
There's no book.
No code.
Just so I can.
Alright, is that the thing he just leaves his stuff in?
Yeah, he just lost his wallet a couple of days ago.
That's what
Actually, yesterday.
he lost his wallet?
Yeah, he called me. Do you know where my wallet is? And he sent a picture of it after he found it. So, yes, that is very
Typical. Okay, so you said you went after you went in the garage, briefly spoke with them, and then you went out the front door. And then when you left, was the garage still halfway open?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then after that, you went to the CVS on Cheyenne, and then from there you came to Tribune.
Yes, sir.
And was anybody waiting for you?
No, sir. The girls were passed out, so was there.
That's it. Is there anything else? That's fair. It's 3:22, and that's gonna.
Detective, when the girls approached with that phone, did you observe anything of note on it?
Yes.
What?
There appeared to be, to me, apparent blood, and it was smeared on the screen.
Okay. Did you have an opportunity to look at the screen and see if there were any notifications present?
Yes, I did.
Were there?
There were none.
If you receive texts or calls on your phone, your notifications show up.
Correct.
And that's kind of a common thing.
Yes.
So it appeared to you that there was no incoming activity to that phone if it's just sitting there all day.
Agree.
After that interview was conducted, did you and other detectives authorize a search warrant for the Porcupine Rim address?
Yes.
And then were you part of the search of the Porcupine Rim address?
I did enter in and assist at that point.
Okay. And ultimately, did you exit and then conduct another interview with the defendant?
Yes.
While you were interviewing the defendant the third time, or I guess the second time for you, but the third interview, were you getting updates live from other detectives in the home as they found certain items?
I was, yes.
And I'd move for the admission of 620.
Any objection to 620?
No objection.
620 will be admitted.
And I am going to play it, but before I get yelled at by the judge, I'm going to say we have to end at 3, so we might have to stop halfway through or partway through.
Sure.
Before you start playing the statement, Council Hurst.
No, she's really attractive. That one. She must have looked better in her adult film days. Because I got questions.
It is August 7th, 2023, at approximately 19:55 hours at night. Detective was out with Henderson PD, batch number 1531. Detective Skinner, Henderson PD, batch number 2233. And we're going again with Devin Knights. So, and just so you know, like, you know your rights, okay? I said you're not under arrest, but after you arrest, you've been here for so long, we do the same, okay? So,
I also don't know who needs to hear this, but if the police ask you or tell you they need to read you your right, you are in fact a suspect. Call a defense attorney, invoke your right to remain silent, practice your right to not open your mouth hole, and then get a defense attorney. Yes. Now, as your twice college dropout, non-legal representative, informationologist, that's what I would recommend. But yes, and a subtle indication that you are in fact a suspect is when they read you your Miranda rights. So take that as a cue to call a defense attorney or ask for one.
if you want to speak with us, I gotta make sure that you understand your rights. Like I said, you're not under arrest, but I still have to repeat your rights because you are being detained, and we've been talking with you for quite some time, right? So you have the right to sign. You have that right, and you say you can, will be used for a while. You have right to speak to an attorney for answering questions, and attorney doesn't. While you answer questions, you got a foreign attorney will be provided to prosecute. If you decide to answer questions now, you may stop anytime and speak with an attorney before question continues. If you decide to stop answering questions once you have begun, all questions stop. So you understand your rights? So like I said, is it yes?
Yes.
Okay. And it's basically because we've been talking to you for so long today, and now we're doing a search warrant. You are being detained, but you're not under arrest, like I said. You're not under arrest, right? And I know this is all kind of come to a shot. Everything that's been going on, like I was explaining before, we have to make sure that we rule out every possibility, okay? And like with his phone right there, do you know how his phone got there?
Well, it's by the cigarette butt, so it looks like he was smoking and he put his phone down. You didn't see the cigarette butt there?
No.
There's a
Is the
cigarette butt
over there?
Yes, sir. And
Okay.
if jury test it, it'll be,
And he smokes cigarettes?
yes, sir, all case number.
Okay. When he was moving stuff, did he like cut his hands or anything?
Yes, sir.
Which hand do you remember?
I'm not sure, but he said on the table that has like the multiple parts to it, one of the parts came down and he said that, like it took a chunk on his hand.
Like actual, did you see him bleeding at all?
No, he told me about it.
Did he have like any bandages on him after he told you?
And he just told me that it slammed down.
When did he tell you that?
When we were moving it into the thing, he said that it came down on his hand and it took a chunk.
What do you mean moving into the thing?
When we were moving in the table, he said that the table had snapped down on his hand.
Okay.
And
Inside this garage right here?
yeah, he told me in the garage.
And which table inside the garage was it?
There's a white one that has multiple parts to it.
You know where it's at inside the garage?
And it's right there.
Well, and then like, when I go back in and look at it,
It's the white table is like before you hit the basement, there's a white table with multiple sections to it.
so,
What am I missing?
well, your reactions are starting to elevate and be different.
I don't mean to do that, but I'm getting scared
Okay, and what are you scared about?
because you're asking me did he hurt himself, and I'm going by what he told me. He said that when he was moving the table, because he loaded the truck by himself.
Okay.
Okay. Is it possible to move a table that has additional leaf sections by yourself? I mean, I guess if you break it down, but knowing my reluctance and Mr. Moe's reluctance to break things down when we're moving, I don't think you can move an entire table by yourself. I could be wrong. Mr. Moe, can you move an entire table by yourself? Like our dining room table.
Well, one side, then go to the other, then go back to the other. You can't.
Could you load it in a moving van by yourself?
Yeah, you take the legs off. And then, yes, I could.
All right, he says if you can take the legs off. I just doubt, again, I don't think they logic this out. I don't believe the table story in the first place, but I don't believe any of this. Not to mention, she's making this big deal about the injury on John's hand. Thank you so much. Going back, let me look at my notes.
I figured I could look at Walgreens later. Because if you changed it, it may be not ready. I gotta hit Walgreens.
Okay, because the medical examiner talked about this. No, not the medical examiner, the CSI. She photographed. No, it was the medical examiner. John's hands were bagged at the scene of the crime, and then they did photograph both the front and back aspects, posterior and anterior aspects of the hands, and the only thing they noted was. Yes, John's left hand had calluses or blisters, like from repetitive work with his hands, but he didn't have a gash or a cut on him. There were several superficial bruises to his limbs that you might get every day, but there wasn't a chunk missing from his hand. Or, a cut that was healing. So we're trying.
So, I guess what is worrying you right now? You're saying, you've already told us.
It's worrying me, but I feel like.
Things are pointing in your direction, like you were saying earlier.
And like I said, I didn't load the truck. He loaded everything himself, and the lighter things I unloaded. If I have the camera system, you can see that he did it.
Did you guys already? What do you mean? So the camera that you took down, it was up before you guys left. That was like one of the last things you took down.
Yes, sir.
Where's that camera?
Yeah, and in totally not suspicious behavior, uh, somehow, in a coinkydink of coinkydinkies, uh, they just happened to uninstall the Ring camera that was at Yoko's house to move it to Devin's house the night that, the, well, decapitation caper happened. I mean, who'da thunk?
It's in the garage, I'm sure it's good.
Okay. And it's like the DVR and everything's in there?
I think so, he said it records.
Okay, and then that was recording you guys packing up right before
I
you
did
left?
not pack anything, he packed everything, so.
I mean, that was what you guys packed. Was that the last thing you guys packed before you left? Come back here?
I didn't pack anything, he packed everything, but when I got back, he just tightened everything down and we left.
What do you mean when you got back?
When I left here, I went back to Henderson, got in his truck, and then we drove back here.
And so when you drove there, everything was already packed?
Yes, sir, everything.
And then what time was that, do you think?
It was around 8:20, 8:30, and then we got here, I think it's at 9:01 on his.
Okay, and then after you unloaded everything here,
We got
you
in
drove
his
back
truck.
over there?
Yes, sir, in his truck.
Nah, did you leave your vehicle over there?
Yes, sir.
Nah, why didn't you guys just both drive back?
Because he wanted to take his vehicle because of the trailer, he uses it for,
But like, why didn't you just drive your car and he drove his car?
because he said he wanted to drive one car. I sat in the passenger side of his truck.
Well, that's what I'm asking. I didn't know what was the reason for, like, because you were planning on coming back here at some point, right?
Yes, sir.
So I was trying to figure out why. Like,
I offered and he said.
You guys just drive
Yes, sir.
back and forth.
And then we went to the gas station and he put more gas in his car and you could see us at the gas station.
No, which gas station?
The Arco, we went to Arco twice that day
Which one's that?
on,
Now, if you were with me yesterday, you'll remember the state and the defense asking the crime scene investigator or the crime scene tech if they found in the Porcupine Rim home any black Nike shoes with a swoosh on them. Devin was wearing those shoes when they were at the gas station. Hitherto now, and I do believe even at the end of the trial, those shoes have never been found, but they were the shoes that she was seen wearing. And that is all right, Anne. I will give you the kind of 5-minute pitch. The person that is on trial is Devin Michaels. She is a former adult film star, which, not my circus, not my monkey, not my problems, not my daughter. Like, I have no judgment as far as the adult film because I judge her on the next bit of information that I'm going to give you. She was in a relationship with John Willett. For several years, they had 2 little girls. John was actually the father of another child named Devier, an adult son from a previous relationship. Now, there are varying stories as to when the relationship or affair between Devin and Devier started. Devier claims that it started when he was 19 and Devin and John were still together. Devin claims that because here, Devin and John break up. Devin then goes to get married to Devier. Now she tells John's mother, Yoko, and John that they are simply married because Devier has benefits and he would be in a good place to help with the children. Again, having to explain that your half-brother is also your stepdad, I'm sure makes for interesting parent-teacher nights. Now, Devin decided that the girls needed a fully functional, structured parental unit, and decided that John and Yoko, his mother, had been arguing. He was living in her kind of a makeshift bedroom in her living room. So she told John that, they would think about getting back together. He'd obviously been incredibly off-put and betrayed by his son marrying his ex, as he would be. But according to what the multiple stories that Devin told, the most consistent at the beginning was it wasn't ideal, but John needed a place out away from his mother. They were having a lot of friction, and the girls needed both their parents under the same roof, along with their half brother slash stepdad, as you do. Now, it turns out that I know Shocked Pikachu Face, the adult film star who left a relationship with one man to form a marriage of convenience with another, was actually in a fully consummated marriage with Deviere. Again, I know you're shocked. But at the end of this evening, after all of this moving in shenanigans was going to get done, Devin and John went back to Yoko's home, and she stayed there for a little bit, even talked to Yoko on her way out around 1:30, 2-ish o'clock, telling her, look, John's been drinking a little bit. He's taken, he's going to sleep it off. Don't go check on him. He's fine. I left him fine. I'll see you tomorrow and we'll finish up the move. Well, Yoko woke up the next day and, she waited a little bit for John to wake up after he'd slept it off. And he didn't respond to her kind of going in and, doing kind of a shout by the door like, hey, it's time to get up. I've got coffee. Well, she ended up going into the room and unfortunately discovered her son's body, sans head. Now, the defense will definitely try to lead you to the assumption that Deviere was the gentleman who did this, that despite Devin being the only person, seen in the house, despite the fact that Yoko and Yoshida, her boyfriend, didn't see sign of a Deviere, because Deviere installs Ring doorbell cameras for a living, he was able to ninja his way across town, sneak into the house, decapitate his father, take the head, leave no evidence forensically, and then sneak back in. All the while, the girls, when interviewed, said, no, Deviere was with us the entire night. So again, this case wasn't so much a whodunit as let's hold the state to its burden. The kind of odd thing, and hopefully we'll get to it by Friday, but Devin was all set to take a plea deal. And then right as she was going to take a plea deal, she kind of had a bit of a meltdown in a hearing and decided to go to trial. Now, she has been adjudicated guilty, so maybe she should have taken the plea deal. Listen, all you Sarah Boones and Devin Michaels out there, take the damn plea deal. For the love of Cheetos. I mean, not that I don't admire your defenses. Well, arguments that require me to suspend disbelief at an Olympic level. I mean, hey, I like a conspiracy theory with no logic behind it as much as the next Marvel franchise Phase 5 viewer can tolerate.
Windmill and Eastern.
Okay. Was it Arco Windmill and Eastern after you guys left to get here?
Yes, sir.
So it's might be between like 8 and 9 o'clock.
Oh, definitely. It was like beginning like at 8:20 when we were leaving to head back here. And that's when I told you the Mountain Dew that he left was still on the gas pump from earlier that day. And I went over there and was showing him your drink is still sitting here.
And where was that at?
He left it on the gas pump the first time we were there.
Oh, okay.
You were asking because he forget things a lot. Yeah.
He forgot his soda at that time. Okay. So we went back and looked at the video at Burlington. Do you remember anything else while you were there at Burlington? Like you said that you took Janae to the bathroom. Was there any time that you took both girls and you guys both split up?
I had, after we came out of the bathroom, Tamia with me, and then John kind of was walking around by himself. I think he went to the shoes.
Was that at the very, when you get there, when you guys arrived at Burlington, at what point do you guys break out to take her to the bathroom?
Immediately, like almost immediately, she was asking for the bathroom when we first walked in.
Okay, did you guys talk to anybody when you first walked in?
Just the security guy at the front, and he says towards the back, and it's with me and Janine was walking back there.
Okay, that's when you split.
Yes.
And then after you guys left, that's when she's saying that Jonathan and Tamaya were walking around,
Yes, sir.
and they were contacted by somebody at that
Yes,
point.
sir. I did not see that person.
Okay. So the video at Burlington shows, or at least what my partner was saying when he was there, once you guys get there, you talk to the security guard, but then all you and Janaya and Tamaya basically split up from Jonathan at that point.
Tamaya did.
She did not. Okay, first of all, these girls are not twins. So why would you look? I'm going to tell you, as a mom of 6, I gave my girls very simple but elegant names that only had 4 letters because I also was terrible at spelling and figured I'd lessen the stress for, my children should they be dyslexic too. Because I figured 4 letters end with a vowel. But why are you giving your children rhyming names? Do you understand that you will probably never call the right child the right name? You'll just be yelling, all y'alls come down here. I mean, if you are able to, yell at 2 bickering children with rhyming names, that's fine. I always thought that was a twin thing. Not something I co-sign, but I'm just not a fan. I already mix up my kids' names enough. I need no other traps.
They go with us into the bathroom. I know that for a fact. It was just me and Janaya.
Did she follow you while you guys were going that way? You know, she didn't go into the bathroom?
I don't think so. I don't think she came with us that way.
Okay. As like I said, my partner he was at Burlington factory, looked at the video, and that's what he saw. So when you guys get there, you talked to the security guy, and then you and your 2 daughters walked,
Okay.
and then Jonathan walks away from you guys.
I know when we came out of the bathroom, she was definitely with me because we were looking at all the little knickknacks like towards the back of the store.
Okay, was she waiting for you right there?
I do remember when we came out, she was right there.
Right by the bathroom entrance? Or,
No, by the gate. She didn't go into that, but there's like a gate blocking it off.
oh, okay. Was Jonathan anywhere around there? How, when you talked to Taya, how sure was she about what she said to you about the guy coming up to her? Like, how did that come up?
It was like a matter of fact, oh, well, there was a guy that said something, and I'm not sure the exact words, but she brought it up.
Like how did she bring it up?
There was a guy at the store that said, I'm coming after you, or I'm gonna get you. And she said that in front of me and her grandmother, so I was like, we were gonna tell you.
And so she just volunteered that information?
Yes.
Do you know, I guess, does she have any reason why she would tell you that?
I guess that's what she said, saw or heard.
Okay. And then, after you guys split up after going to all those stores, and you take the kids back here to eat, and then he goes back to the house to eat back in the house?
No, we left Vaughn's, we took all the groceries out of his truck, put them into my truck, and then he went in to eat, and then we drove. So we went back to his house after Vaughn's to switch cars.
And was your girls with you that time?
Yes, sir.
And then, when you switch cars, what happened after that?
I drove back here.
And you stay there?
To load everything.
And then you drop the kids back off here?
I left him here, and I drove back there to bring the truck down to help him unload it.
Okay. Carrie, you have any additional questions? Okay, so, at this point,
When my son was Paula, when my son was little, where we lived with my parents, and he would call me mom, my mom Nan, and my dad. So we would get funny looks out. I call my dad dad. My son called me mom, and my dad. It's kind of funny how kids get family relations, because I basically have a very much younger set of siblings. So there was quite confusion as to what flavor of relative my girls would be when I first had kids to, my little brother and sister. Because they're like, are they our cousin sisters? Our sister cousins? And I was like, no, they're your nieces. I know it doesn't make sense, but in our family, it sort of does. And they're like, are you sure I'm allowed to be an aunt? And I was like, yeah, I say you'll do. Yeah, it is a little weird to explain to a 5-year-old that they're going to be an aunt. I guess cousin sister might have been a better analogy. Now that I think about it at that time, it does make sense why she would think that.
Actually, like I asked before, do you know what happened to Jonathan? Well, the way how everything's investigation is going right now, yeah, it's not a normal, I guess, not a normal type of investigation, right? So that's why we have to go at the different avenues of this, make sure that we investigate every side to this case. Okay, so that's why we're doing this report here at this point. Okay, so I'm asking you that, like, right now would be the time, if you know anything about what happened or you're involved in any way, now would be the time to tell me. Okay, so we're not going around chasing, doing other stuff. Like, if you knew someone that possibly did this, but you're trying to protect them, or you knew something happened and you're not telling us, now is the time that we need to know that.
My last thing I did was John. I was in his back, and then he went to smoke. And while he was smoking, I was talking to Yoko.
Now, I don't believe it's this interview, but during a subsequent interview, or perhaps that's why this one goes so long, she eventually does confess to basically luring John into his bedroom to lay down on the bed for a massage. Now, in her story, legitimately, we have a clue moment. It's Mrs. Skank with a candlestick to the head in the living room. Now, she alleges that he was dead after she bludgeoned him. Now, she claims to only have hit him once, but extremely hard, and he went unresponsive. She hit him, in the back of the head, and then she decapitated him. Now, she never fully confessed where she took the head or the saw that she used, but she went on to later, when she got defense representation, recant that. And allege that she had only confessed because she was afraid of and in love with Devier and was trying to protect him. And if you buy that, I have, a for-profit charity called Mo's House, in which all of the profits go directly to my house and or things I want.
That was pretty much it. And then I finished loading. He told me which ones he wanted me to take, and then that was it.
Say that again, you finished loading with something?
No, he told me, like, the kids' Wii controllers, there's like little things that were light enough for me to take, and he was gonna load up the bicycles and bring them down, because he was supposed to come down first in the morning for us to take the girls to school.
Okay. And when you guys were running around yesterday, what was, I always mispronounce his name. Devier. What was he doing? Devier.
He was here.
Did he work yesterday?
Sunday, no.
He doesn't work on Sundays? And was he home pretty much the whole day yesterday? Like, when you came back here and had the kids, was he here at that time too?
Yes, sir. And then when we got home, he started cooking dinner.
Do you know when the last time him and his dad talked?
It's been a minute. They don't talk. John doesn't really talk to the majority of the people in the family, including his dad and everything like that.
Okay. And then
I'm sorry, son.
you want to now? Oh.
Crazy.
You can shut the tent if you want. Whose idea was it for him to move here?
His. He wanted to come here to be a family and not me and him under one roof with the girls.
Okay, and then Was that up for discussion, or he just said, I want to move in with you, and then that was like a done deal?
No, I wouldn't say it was a done deal. It was a lot of back and forth with it. Like, we've been talking about it for months.
And did, Devier, did Devier know that he was coming?
Not yesterday, no. Absolutely not.
And, I mean, did Devier know that John was moving in?
Devier knew that John and I had talked about it. Devier did not like that idea. But I did not know John was bringing all that stuff.
Yeah, gotcha.
We were supposed to just be moving, like, the girls' things, the bunk beds. I have packed up, like, all their old clothes, you know, like, bags and bags of clothes I had packed up for them.
Okay. And what did Devier and Jonathan talk about yesterday?
They didn't talk yesterday. Devier had opened the door, saw that we were loading into the garage, and that was it. And then...
Now, this does corroborate with Devier's story. And I believe that Devier was untruthful. Devier tried to obfuscate the nature of their relationship up to and including at his grand jury testimony. But as untrustworthy as he came across in sort of how truthful and honest he was about his relationship, he did look deeply, deeply affected, deeply remorseful, and incredibly embarrassed about his relationship with Devin. Now, they are still technically married. Devier is currently in a relationship. He moved back to California. Devier did seem to have a history of kind of a semi-transient residency in Las Vegas. I think he lived with his mother in California, but he would move to Las Vegas sometimes for a year or two at a time and then go back to California. So he's currently in California. He did testify. He has an incredibly low register, a very low bass tone to his voice, and he speaks very softly. So it was kind of hard to understand him. But I think he came off genuine as far as I had nothing to do with this. But, you know, he definitely admitted that he had lied on the grand jury. So I don't know how much he did for the jury in his testimony, but it does corroborate what he says in that he had avoided his father that particular Sunday because he knew that his dad didn't want to see him. He didn't want to speak to him again. There was all the drama involved if you suddenly start marrying and, well, you marry and bang your father's ex, who happens to be the mother of your half siblings.
They never actually spoke to each other?
No, sir.
And then... Devier made it sound like he might have talked to him, so...
No, sir.
So he saw him, went back inside, and that's...
Yeah. I think he just opened the door because he heard noises. Just, I mean, I can't speculate, but it was just open the door, close it, I think. And then when I left, I just let him know I was leaving, and that was it.
Would Devier have any reason to want to hurt Jonathan?
No, sir. No, sir.
You don't think so?
No, sir. I mean, they didn't get along perfectly, but no.
Anything like in the past that they've gotten fights or anything like
They've
that?
had arguments, but nothing ridiculous, so.
Okay. Do you think Devier would have anything to do with it? Or no, why do you smile and say that? Shit here, though.
He's one of those types that things don't bother him. Like, you can be angry and everything like that, and he's always very...
I will say he also had Devier had an incredibly flat affect. He didn't make a lot of facial movements or kind of, he basically didn't have a mo face. He was very steady, very kind of monotone, low register. He seems like a pretty chill person that doesn't speak unless he has something he really needs to say. That kind of personality. So, yeah.
And How upset was Jonathan when he found out that you and David are getting married?
Oh, he was furious at first, but once he started realizing, like, with all the medical things and everything like that, John and I, we started talking again. We hang out. We actually go to birthday parties and, like, the 4th of July, we get all the fireworks with the girls. Like, we actually were building our connection again so we could have more time with our family.
And that's something that you wanted to happen also?
Yes, sir.
And then, because, like, the reason why I ask these questions is as far as, like, him being the one that.
No, the reason he's asking this question is because it sounds batshit crazy. It sounds like a Snapped episode wrapped up in a Jerry Springer on top of Tara Reid's current love life, okay? It is a nuclear Sharknado on top of Chernobyl. This is the most bullshit plan that has ever planned in the entire world. No one would agree to this. Not if you line up 100 men, 99 of them would tell you to go love yourself vigorously if you said, I'm moving your adult son in. I'm going to marry him for medical insurance. And then we can continue to try to co-parent in the same house. Yeah, no.
So he was, what do you guys think? It sounds like he's very pushy and kind of wants to get his way when stuff.
Yeah,
Right?
he definitely can be that way.
Like, was this something that he forced upon you? Like, hey, I'm moving back in?
It wasn't that he was forcing upon it, but I know he was having issues with Yoko, and she was trying to get him out of her house. Like the night, last night, she was telling me she still had paid her rent money. He owed her $200. She was saying, see if I could get his EBT card, so she could at least take the money off of that. So I know she was pretty
Upset at him for not being able to pay her back.
She said it had been years since he had paid rent. So, and I sat there and helped them talk to the car company to kind of get the payments back on track because he was falling behind with that. His phone was constantly being turned off for non-payment and things.
Do you think that, did he have any issues with Yoshida?
He said that they were basically using his EBT to live like a lifestyle. Like they would go and get the fancy food and everything and kind of use all the money and keep it on the card.
That Yoshida and Yoko did that?
Yes.
How upset did that make Jonathan?
So they argue daily.
Do you think that Yoshida or Yoko would have anything to do to hurt him?
I don't see them being capable of hurting him. Like I know they argue, but I don't see them being aggressive people. Like I know Andrea had pulled a knife on him.
But how long ago was that?
Last year, I
It was
think.
last year.
From what I was told. I just know that he was trying to get out of that house as quickly as he could. And it was supposed to have been like a piecemeal type thing. And it went from gradually to everything now.
Okay.
Somebody's relationship is running. Maybe I first met
That is true. I am blessed that in my formative years until age 4, I was in Virginia. So I do know how to say rose instead of rose. Rose. Yeah. You will also hear in Indiana wash, wash rag, washing machine. I don't know why we add the R. Yeah. Again, not sure where we added the R.
they didn't talk at all. And then they started talking briefly, and then they stopped talking again. Same thing with the dad, John. We talked to him briefly, but he didn't get along with the wife, so he said he didn't talk to him at all. Like, I've never even met JC the whole time we were together. He showed up to the house one time to pick up Debbie Air when he first moved out here, and that was it. And JC lives around Cheyenne today, so not that far. But he's never reached out to us or anything like that.
So I know that your marriage with them is on paper, but
I noticed that you guys wear rings.
Oh, my office.
I know, but he wears a ring too. So some people, why are you guys doing the rings and stuff? And you got your ex moving in into
I
essentially.
love the ring. I don't know, the rings aren't really significant, it was just part of the little ceremony that we did.
Rings are very significant in marriage. They're a symbol of a connection to another person.
We definitely have a connection, he's like my best friend.
Well, yeah, but they're also a sign of commitment. They're a sign that shows you're taken. It's a very visible indication that you are considered taken off the market. You know, if you are in a marriage of convenience with, unfortunately, due to text messages, we know it's been consummated greatly. But yeah, she doesn't sound like a good person when she's like, well, it's a paper marriage, but I deserve a ring.
And he'll tell others
I would be.
I've tried to help him. Like, he's gone through a lot, and so have I. And he actually saved my life, so I'm very grateful for him.
It's just, you understand how it looks, right? So I completely understand the medical power of attorney in a sense for the spouse. But to take it the next step and actually wear rings to show your connection to the world it is a romantic connection. It's showing that you're married to someone and that you have a respectful relationship with someone in marriage.
Yeah, we have a different, I would say, respectful relationship. But at the same time, John was like accepting of ours, so that's why he was doing that. At first, but that was like only like a couple of weeks, and then the more him and I talked, he was okay. And
Yeah, you know, my ex was a little upset that I was, you know, boning his son, but then he cooled off for a couple weeks, and it was like, you know, as long as it's just a marriage of convenience, said no actual functional, rational human being ever. This is not how feelings work. This is not how relationship works. These are not how human emotion work. There would be a great sense of betrayal by a close familial member. This is not a betrayal that's going to go away in 4 weeks. You know, he had a thing, he did some yoga, cleared his chakras, watched some Me Pearl, and he was totally fine with it.
once you go back and look at the text messages, you'll see them.
Okay, I wasn't sure what that relationship was.
You guys, I never thought I'd say this, but this is officially a dumber story than Sarah Boone claiming she and Jorge were playing hide and seek. I didn't think that I would come with, you know, across a dumber argument, but no, my current husband and former ex were totally okay living together with me, an ex-adult film star, while I was possibly boffing them both. Yeah, says no one ever.
And then this other stuff came out.
No, but he found out about it because of that. And of course he was like, you know, pretty furious. But that was in October, and by November, we were already on decent terms, and I was going over to the house to see the girls and everything like that.
Did the caseworker talk to you about your family dynamic?
Yeah,
So you got brought up?
of course.
Okay.
But yeah, John and I had already started working towards things back last November.
And I know after you left the house last night, you went to CVS.
Now, far be it from me to not have looked up the Emily Post etiquette of how one dates their ex while married to their current husband, their ex's son. Like, I don't even know the protocol. How does one even, how do you even justify, how does she believe the story she's trying to get us to believe?
Her medication. And then did you try to contact John after you got home and into this morning?
Early this morning I did.
And that's when he wasn't answering, you were trying to figure out the school stuff, right?
Right.
Okay.
Because he said everything was loaded up, and then when I got up to start packing everything, I couldn't find it. You know?
That tracks.
Okay. Oh, that's right, the school supplies, correct. Okay. So you're obviously contacting him. Now, how do you know that he does not have a PIN code on his phone?
because I've used his phone when we couldn't get it to work for a long time. Whenever I call him, they would go straight to voicemail.
Okay.
So I know his phone.
Okay, so you've been on his phone in the past. So one of the things that we noticed when we were walking up, we noticed the phone on the driveway. And then obviously went in and talked to you, we talked to your daughter, talked out here, and the girls brought it over. When we looked at the phone, there were no notification messages to show that there was a missed call and missed text. So I'm asking a direct question. Did you know that phone was there, and did you look at it and then just forget about it or something?
No, there should have been, because on my phone, it shows,
Missed call, missed or notification?
well, it shows delivered but not read. So it's showing that he's gotten them and he's not opening them up
Okay.
on my phone. So I don't know about no notifications on his side. Mine's showing me this there. I don't know how
Does
his,
his show a red? Like, does he have the
I don't know.
messages?
I know on mine, once he reads it, yes, it will say,
Okay. So on his phone, it should show red if you looked at his messages?
yes, just like Yoko says.
In fact, okay. Okay. And then he never said anything last night about not knowing where his phone's at?
We didn't talk about his phone, no. The only thing he asked me about was his wallet that morning. And you can look at it and it says, where's my wallet? And then I called him and I told him where I remember seeing it. And then a little while later, he sends me a picture saying, I found my wallet.
Sorry, can you catch up? What kind of wallet do you have?
A little skirt in it.
Oh, like where you put the cards in there?
Is this like a bifold wallet or?
It looks like it's about this, like a little skirt wallet.
Okay, and does it, is there anything else in the house right now that belongs to him? Anything?
Did this woman really unable to figure out the difference between a bifold and a trifold? Now, considering I am a bit of a vocabulary freak, it's kind of indicative in the language we picked. Bi, prefix, 2. Tri, prefix, 3. Folds. One folds up like a hot dog bun, and it's long and skinny-ish. Like a hot dog fold with the construction paper if you were in kindergarten. Not the hamburger one. Honestly, if all directions could have been related to food, I would never have gotten lost. Like, I need you to head toward the Burger King. Forget north and south. Just tell me, just tell me, like, towards the CVS, towards the Walgreens. I can generally know my directions that way.
Like, you said he found his wallet? And he found it where?
It was on the table, but he had put it off the table, so all of a sudden he had moved. I've been other places.
And then he had lost his wallet yesterday?
Yesterday morning.
And then he was looking around for it. Did he, do you know where he put his wallet after that? Like, did he have it with
He
him?
shopped all day. He used it all day.
Is there anything else that belongs to, other than the stuff that you brought over? Does he have any other belongings here, like clothes
Yeah,
or
there's a ton of stuff here now.
all of the stuff's here?
Yeah.
Because we couldn't, because his wallet wasn't at the house, Paladura. Do you know where it would be right now?
What's that?
And then does he carry, like, I know some people carry like their social security card, medical cards.
He gave me his social.
Now, just as a spoiler alert for those of you that are just now joining us with this trial, as they are talking to her about these things, asking her questions about the wallets, there are other detectives inside her house, finding the septuple bagged wallet, keys, and driver's license of John. So not only have they found the Ring doorbell camera that they that was uninstalled the exact evening a decapitation happened, but they've also found his cell phone with a cracked and bloody screen in her driveway, and now his keys, wallet and driver's license, along with his social security card, hidden in another bag. Now, those septupled bagged items were at the bottom of her underwear drawer, where you always put the things you want to hide from the police.
Security card he told me to hold on to because it's very important. So that was
I
in
don't
my
know.
purse, I believe I had
When did he give that to you?
yesterday.
Okay.
It's in a black plastic folding bin.
Okay.
He said it was very important for me to put it someplace else.
So we were sent a picture from the side. There's a picture of his wallet with his ID that was in one of the drawers in your bedroom.
Okay, one of his old ones, because I have a lot of his old ones.
Oh, he had like an old. What did they look like?
I don't know, like I have all of his old driver's license, and he had all of his old stuff.
Okay. And then
Who the hell keeps their ex's old driver's licenses? I mean, unless you were wanting to make a voodoo doll, which, you know, I can neither endorse or unendorse until I've tried it myself. But why would you keep that crap? Like, that's just more crap you have to move. I am a fan of throwing away as much junk and clutter here lately that, yeah, no, I'm not keeping your old ID. I'll shred it for you because I'm not a ginormous butthole, but no, I'm not keeping your stuff.
old wallet with the driver's license. How many do you think you have?
I think I have 2 of his licenses.
Bobby, this is the smartest thing I have ever heard. Why has no one thought of this before? Especially those in the middle of your back thing where you have to do like one of the, Jungle Book, Baloo the bear kind of, bare necessities, scrub your back on some surface. I think this is a great idea.
Are they both in wallets or?
Yeah, we have like old little years as well.
In separate wallets?
No, just in separate places.
Tracks.
Okay. Where was those other ones? Like the ones for Jonathan? Where did you keep those at?
In one drawer and the other's in a different drawer.
Which drawer?
One's in like my drawer with like some doorknobs and stuff, and the other one's in a nightstand for on the other side.
Oh, okay. And you think you have a couple of his driver's license?
I know, even I have them on my phone too.
Oh, did you? And why does he give you those, or why do you guys tell you that?
I don't know how it sounds, but he literally said, hold on to this because it's important. He literally said that. Like the social and everything. And I have.
Are you sure it wasn't figuratively or euphemistically? Was he speaking in allegory or metaphor? Are you sure it was quite literal? Swear to God, I'm going to start fining people over the age of 35 who use the word literally every 5 seconds in situations where it is not contextually or vocabularily correct.
The EBT card, and you could see at the gas station, he handed me the EBT card and said, this is the code, and then he gave me the other one.
What's that?
I said, this is good.
Why did you say that?
Because he's telling me to do things, and you're asking me about it, and...
Well, I mean, you're explaining it, that's why we're asking.
At the gas station, he hands me the card.
I mean, at this point, I am shocked that her cerebral cortex is getting the context clues that I am fucking toast. I mean, I am surprised given the absolute redonkulousness of all the evidence she left behind. I'm surprised that she has the brain function to realize that they are currently looking at her as a suspect. I mean, it's almost a Christmas miracle that she functions at a high enough level to realize she's a suspect. Because, all of her premeditation and current meditation was just crap. So I find it interesting that a woman who I think has only a passing acquaintance with logic and thought process is able to ascertain that she is in possible trouble here. It does show a quality of perceptiveness that she has hitherto seemed oblivious to.
It says, hold on to this in case you need something. Like,
And that's the EBT card?
yes, sir. It is at the gas station. You can see him hand it to me.
The Arco.
No, and not the Arco. There's another gas station on the Pecos one where we stopped. And I think, yeah, because he gave me the card and then he went outside to smoke a cigarette. but it's on the security camera. You can see him hand it to me.
Which, do you know which gas station?
I don't know the name of it. It's by the Burger King.
Burger King, you know, where, like,
It's
there's
just
like
like
a,
it goes from Windmill. It's like right there. You can.
Nicholas Winnow Burger King,
There's a gas station right there. He was talking about the man that works there. He parks
like
right.
on the corner.
He was telling me about the man that works there and he sleeps in his car and everything like that.
What time do you think that was then?
That was after we unloaded everything. We went right there and I got a Monster drink and I don't remember what he got.
So right after you left,
When we got back to his side of town.
so coming back is when you went to that gas station?
Yeah.
So, like, so after the aftermath song. And that's when he gave you his ET card?
Yes, you can see him hand it to me and he walks out the door.
So that's right, that's near his place. You said Pecos and Winnow? The Burger King?
Yes, sir. Like, he kept,
It's cool, because there's in 2 gas stations. There's a Chevron right down the corner.
I think it's like a Charles Horse.
Okay, so it's almost there, and then across Candy Corner from that gas station is another gas station. I think it's a Shell or something.
I'm not sure that one, but.
It was next to the Burger King.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Please check the security. You can see him and you can see him telling me the code and everything. I don't know why he was giving me things, but he was telling me to hold on to them and keep them safe. And that's what I was doing.
That's the social security card, what about his driver's license?
I've always had his driver's license. He's
The
always,
problem I have with that is that the driver's license found in the house is a current. It's not.
but he just gave it to me.
I know, but he would need that for work. That's
He
why
has
I'm
another
asking.
one.
You said that he gave you an old one.
Yeah, so here is again where you probably should think and logic out your alibi. Instead of saying, yeah, I always have his old IDs, and then, they come back with, well, this is his current ID that we found in your thong drawer. Cisco, little shout out. Thong song, if you haven't thought about it since the early 90s, remember the glory, the insanity, the absurdity that it was the thong song. Life isn't more crazy. We just forget the utter absurdity that the past was. It wasn't better. It was just as absurd. We just only have a limited capacity for current absurdity.
Well, no, he's given me old ones before. I have multiple ones. So you can look around the house. There's more than one.
Okay, and if this one's expired in 2025, that's gonna be his newest one. Okay. It's weird that you have this latest driver's license, and that it was tucked in a drawer.
Yeah, I put it away to keep it safe. This should be wrapped in like a whole bunch of bags, right?
Okay, do you understand that?
I understand, but I also have social security. I understand, and that's why I'm like, it's just getting weirder and weirder. It's like I'm doing things that help, and it's not helping me. I got it.
Well, yeah, is that just being able to explain some of the stuff? That's all we need.
I'm trying to explain it, but the more I'm talking, the more it just sounds really stupid. And
Especially driver's license, that doesn't need to really be kept safe. A social security card or birth certificate, I completely understand. Especially if somebody is transitioning in their life and they're wanting to find a new place to live and want your work.
but I don't know what else was in it. It was just a lot of things.
Okay. But it wasn't his wallet, he didn't hand his wallet over to you.
No, it was a lot of things. Like it was like a square thing he handed to me, and then a black what are those called?
But not his wallet.
Ma'am, heifer, bullshit artist, if I can call you that. You're aware that the thing on the chain that's a square thingy, now if you open those things up, they typically have, it's called a wallet. That is what is called a bifold wallet. Now there's different types of these. There's skinny ones and long ones. Well, short ones, fat ones, long ones. I love that she's like, no, he totally told me to take his driver's license, even though he was at his mom's house and he was supposed to come over to help me register the girls. He didn't need his driver's license. I collect them like Pokemon. I'm waiting to see his final form.
You know what his wallet looks like, you saw him pull it out to birth license. So he had his, so when we find his wallet, it's gonna have his driver's license and his cards. I just don't know why someone gave a driver's license to someone. But not, he didn't give it.
When John and I were together, I had everything. He had me hold on to it so he wouldn't
spend money needlessly and things like that. Like he's like, hold on to this. And
Yeah, but you guys don't have a relationship right now.
we actually were.
So you're closer than not.
Yes. I went. He asked me to marry him yesterday.
And just can we know what time this is? I apologize. You guys, I do have to do something. We have to end today at 3 o'clock. What time was
Yeah, Devin alleges that the night before he was beheaded, John was able to get over his temporary irritation that she had been married for 2 years to his son, and her being a woman of sterling moral character, he wanted to take her back in his life. No, you got to get out of jail free card. Run to Guam. Hide there until the son of a bitch tips over. And then continue to swim to, somewhere else. Never come back to the United States. You had a chance to get away from this insane woman.
36 minutes and 55 seconds.
All right. And we are going to go right into the next day. And finish up with this witness at least. Oh.
Indicated to you that the Devier had been home with them last night.
That's correct.
We went through the first interview in the beginning of your testimony. You recall that?
Yes.
And I called it the first interview. This is actually the second interview conducted by detectives, but the first that you were involved in.
Yes.
I didn't get a chance to ask you, but how were you approaching this second interview when you first go in? What's your mindset?
Sure. So whenever we're contacting someone for the first time, we try to use a free format. We will ask them questions and allow them to give us a narrative in their own words. They're explaining the situation, the story, all of the things that they want to organically just tell us. And then we may ask a couple follow-up clarifying questions and sometimes repeat back to them what they told us so that we can feel comfortable that we understand what they're trying to tell us.
And you are aware that there was an interview conducted with the defendant prior to your involvement?
Yes.
And this second interview, your first,
Yes.
was that investigative type, open-ended, like, hey, give us any information you deem relevant kind of thing?
Correct.
And just to briefly summarize, there was some discussion about, in that second interview, your first, the day before, shopping for school supplies, the defendant acknowledged she had been with the victim, and then she said he was alive and well in the garage when she left. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, during the course of this first interview you're involved in, we heard a little girl's voice approach. Is that correct?
It is.
Describe that, what happened, and what that meant to you.
So while we were interviewing Miss Michaels, we are engaged in our conversation. To be honest with you, I'm not sure which of the daughters, their names I still get mixed up. She had approached the window and she has the cell phone that we believe is the one we previously saw in the driveway. And she says, "Mommy, here's Daddy's cell phone. That's why he didn't answer." There was a physical reaction from from Devin, and she takes the phone, she hands it to us, and she made a comment, "This should help you." And then that's pretty much changed the tone a little bit to casual conversations to then it became a little bit more flustered.
Okay. And is it at that point where you noticed the blood on the phone?
Correct.
And I would imagine that's important for an investigator.
Very much so.
You, I believe, previously indicated that after that first interview, a search warrant is authored and conducted on the home and the vehicles outside the home at Porcupine Rim. Is that correct?
Yes.
During the course of that, we know the wallet with the current ID is found. It's tied in several bags in the defendant's underwear drawer, and it's kind of tucked away. Is that right?
Yes.
And then within that same bag is the truck keys.
Yes.
The social security card was found, but that was in her purse, not hidden away with the other stuff.
Right.
Okay. We were about halfway through that second interview when we had to break on Friday. And so just describe for us how you're approaching this second interview differently, knowing what you know about the blood on the phone and the items found in the home.
What the heck?
So he wants to marry you. He's telling the girls
Oh,
you
okay.
flower girls. Yeah.
Again, I'm not sure if that's been testified to. That is the infotainment system that we offer.
To me. And then a black fun.
The bloody phone, correct?
Yes.
And what was her general response with regard to that?
As far as the acknowledgement of the phone,
Yes.
she was surprised about the phone being at the residence.
Okay.
And it really threw her off when her daughter handed her the phone, and it changed the tone of
Yeah.
our interview.
And she claimed she was surprised. You're not saying she actually
Yes.
was?
No,
Okay.
she appeared to be very surprised.
Okay.
No, the phone actually was swabbed because of the reddish brown staining, and I believe it hasn't been testified to yet. They haven't gotten to the lab analysis part, but it did come back confirmed as John's blood on his phone. And again, according to Devin, John was alive when she left him, hanging out in the garage, I think smoking a cigarette. And then for some reason, she took his wallet, keys, and somehow his phone ended up at her house, all while he was, in theory, supposed to get up early to drive over to Devin's house to get the girls ready for the first day of school. She does look very much like Danny Ahn. Both beautiful women.
And you had asked, and I'm simplifying, you had asked something to the effect of, well, how does blood end up on the phone? Does he hurt himself or something like that? You remember
Correct.
that? Describe that exchange.
So once we have the phone in our possession, we do note, and also her child noted that there was apparent blood on the phone. That's of great concern, and of course, we're going to address that at the time. Began asking Devin some questions related to that. She mentioned that he had injured his hand, and I believe she specifically said he took a chunk, and he being Jonathan, out of his hand. Then went into great detail, which stood out to me because the entire interview, there hadn't been any detail on anything. It was very generalities. There wasn't a lot of, it was like, I don't remember. But in this case, she went into extreme great detail about the table, how it folded, where it was in the garage, how he had hurt himself.
And to be fair to the defendant, I believe she said, John told me that he hurt himself. I didn't see it, but she knew it, or claimed she knew what he hurt himself on and that it was a very large injury.
Correct. And in addition to that, she did not see any blood or injuries on John's hands.
And Detective, you've reviewed the autopsy photos in this case.
Yes, I have.
Were there any bleeding injuries to the victim's body other than his decapitation?
No.
We're going to resume the interview now.
Each
It's cool because there's in two gas stations. There's a Chevron right there on the corner.
I think it's like a Charlotte Hurst.
Okay, so Silver's there, and then across Candy Corner from that gas station is another gas station. I think it's a Shell or something.
I'm not sure the other one, but
But it was next to Burger King. Okay.
yeah, please check the security. You can see him, and you can see him telling me the code and everything. I don't know why he was giving me things, but he was telling me to hold on to him and keep him safe. And that's what I was doing.
That was a social security card, what about his driver's license?
I've always had a driver's license. He's
The
always,
problem I have with that is that the driver's license found in the house is a current, it's not a.
but he just gave it to me.
I know, but he would need that for work. That's
He
why
had
I asked
another
you,
one.
you said that he gave you an old one, you had it in the drawer.
Well, no, he's given me old ones before. I have multiple ones.
So you can look around the house, there's more than one.
Okay, and if this one's expired in 2025, that's gonna be his first one.
Okay.
It's weird that you have his latest driver's license, and that it was tucked in a drawer.
Yeah, I put it away to keep it safe. This should be wrapped in like a whole bunch of bags, right?
Okay, do you understand that?
I understand, but I also have social security. I understand, and that's why I'm like, it's just getting weirder and weirder. It's like I'm doing things that help, and it's not helping me. I got it.
Well, yeah, is that just being able to explain some of the stuff? That's all we need.
I'm trying to explain it, but the more I'm talking, the more it just sounds really stupid. And
So she driver's license, that doesn't mean.
Ding, ding, ding. She is self-aware. Sorry, I have gummy nerds.
Be kept safe. But no social security card or birth certificate, I completely understand, especially if somebody is in transition in their life and they're wanting to find a new place to live when you're working.
but I don't know what else was in it. It was just a lot of things.
Okay. But it wasn't.
You know that right you had to remain fucking silent? Maybe instead of this bullshit story, like I told Sarah Boone, you should have just done that. Notice this stressed out little gremlin of a man in a $1,000 suit. Do you see the color of his face? It shouldn't be this red. The color of his face is this red because he's like, how the hell do I polish this turd? You have not made it easy for your lawyer.
His wallet, he didn't hand his wallet over to you.
No, it was a lot.
She's gaining
like, it was like a
sentience.
square thing he handed to me, and then a black bun. What are those called?
But not his wallet. You know what his wallet looks like, you saw him pull it out for
Yeah.
instance. So he had his.
So Detective, you're now confronting the defendant with regard to the wallet and all that was found in the plastic bags.
Correct.
Those were sealed when they were found, correct?
They were.
So let's step back a moment to the phone, because they kind of tie together. She is not telling you that the phone is part of this chunk of items that John allegedly gave her in this bag, correct?
Correct.
Okay. With regard to the victim's phone, did you ultimately learn that was in fact his blood and DNA, the victim's, on that phone?
Yes, I did.
Did you ultimately learn from other sources, not the defendant, but other sources, when John's phone was last at his home and when it left?
Yes. So one of my partners had authored a search warrant for Google. We had also done some call data records as well, but the Google itself came in quite a bit later. So this is something that we found out after the crime, obviously, and after all the interviews had been settled. But we noted that the return showed that John's phone was at the home on Paladura, which is where he resides, from 10 o'clock till it began to travel or move at about 2:04 a.m.
And what else traveled or moved at 2:04 a.m.?
So I'm not sure exactly what's been testified to yet, but at 2:04 is when it's alleged that Devin left the home. She traveled. We have her cell phone or CDR records, as well as the Burla, which again, I'm not sure if that's been testified to. That is the.
Daggone it. We started the year with the infotainment system and we'll end the damn year with an info-fucking-tainment system. At least they're not going into depth. At least we don't have 900 different people plus Judson freaking Flapjack Welcher. If that man ever gets called to be an expert again, notify me, because I will be at that trial with bells on, because I want to see the blue paint man again.
Infotainment system that we authored a search warrant on. It shows those three devices together in a companion movement all the way back to Porcupine Rim.
So 3 devices, meaning the Nissan itself, the defendant's cell phone, and the victim's cell phone as well.
That's correct.
Based upon the fact that there is blood on the cell phone and all of that you just testified, what did you deduce about our timeline of homicide?
Well, after having the information from the autopsy, which is there was no bloodletting injuries short of his obvious cause of death, which was the decapitation, there was no reason there should have been blood on that cell phone because any bloodletting would have been after the homicide.
I feel like to downgrade, look, aside from the tiny unoverlookable fact that he didn't have a head, there really wasn't much blood. I mean, I feel like that's something you can't gloss over. I get what they're saying, so again, it's not lost on me what they're saying. I just feel like, again, I'm a little punch drunk at the moment, sleep-wise, and for some reason, it's hysterical to me that she's like, 'tis but a flesh wound. I'll be all right. Not actually dead yet. Looking a bit gangrene, though. Good Lord.
So for the phone to arrive and be discovered at Porcupine Rim with blood on it indicated to me that that is something that was on the phone before it left that house.
At 2:04 a.m.
Correct.
And therefore, did you narrow down the bloodletting to between 10 p.m. on the 6th and 2:04 a.m. on the 7th?
Yes, sir.
We're going to resume the interview.
So when we find his wallet, it's gonna have his driver's license and his cards. I just don't know why someone driver's license. But not, he didn't give it.
I always, when John and I were together, I had everything. He had me hold on to it so he wouldn't spend money needlessly and things like that. Like, he's like, hold on to this. And
You know, she guys don't have a relationship right now.
we actually were.
So you're closer than we thought.
Yes. I went,
Are you?
he asked me to marry him yesterday.
Okay.
Does that make
sense? To know your relationship, you had mentioned was getting reconnected, but that's more romantic.
Right, and you can ask the girls, that he told the girls we were gonna get back married, and they were gonna be the flower girls.
And again, this is kind of an odd case. Now, I don't know if it's in this particular interview or another interview. At some point prior to her getting, I think, defense counsel, she went on to confess that she lured John into the bedroom under the guise of a smexy massage. Now, I do theorize, one sec. I do theorize that she was in the buff. Again, her clothing, what was found that she was wearing wasn't particularly covered in a lot of blood, that it was noticeable. I think they did recover some of her clothing except for her shoes. But I think she was at least topless. Now, she alleged that she got him comfortable and laying on his stomach with his head on a pillow, and she bludgeoned him with, I think she said, a candlestick holder on the back of the head. He immediately passed away when unresponsive, according to her. And according to the medical examiner, the decapitation happened post-mortem, so after he was already dead. So it was a living room, so it was kind of a makeshift bedroom. And that was one of the things that I was wondering about when I first got into the case day one, because there wasn't a door on this room. There was kind of a blanket that was strung up or kind of tension rodded across the open door. So it kind of bothered me that none of the parents would have heard a chainsaw going off or a hacksaw. But his mother and his mother's boyfriend, who were the two other adults besides Devin and John, who were in the home that night, both are elderly. And Yoshida did admit that he's a bit hard of hearing, and Yoko did say that, she didn't hear anything except for a thud. Now, about that thud that she claims to hear, This is something that she never brought up in her field interviews, in her subsequent, interviews with police officers. Basically, this thud was not mentioned in the grand jury testimony. This thud was something that came out that day during her testimony. But I will say that Yoko came off incredibly genuine. There were some parts where you could tell she was covering for John. The defense tried to bring up the fact that he struggled with alcohol or drinking heavily. And she was just not going to get off that hill. She refused to claim that he was a heavy drinker. I do think there was DUIs in his past, and he did have sort of pathological markers for possible heavy drinking, a fatty liver. But his blood alcohol level at the time of the death was only 0.028, so below the legal limit. And now, there is a possibility that his body simply hadn't processed the booze that he drank right prior to dying. But the medical examiner did say that it was fairly accurate, and the numbers could be skewed with advanced decomposition, but they got to John and got into the medical examiner's office before advanced decomposition could skew those numbers. Now, there was a little bit of THC also in his system, and a slight level of GHB. Now, the level that was detected in John's system, the medical examiner went on to explain that due to certain processes, your body does create a very small amount of GHB naturally or androgynously. So with the levels that were detected in his tox screen, they are, kind of, they're more closely linked to the amount that your body makes through natural processes than if he were drugged. That doesn't rule out the possibility completely, but it is more likely than not that this was the GHB found in his system was a function of just natural body processes, which I didn't know we made on our own. So learn something new every day.
Stuff like that. He was trying to get back together, and I was helping him break all of these little bad habits that he was doing.
So then he gives you the EBT card for one of the girls. Where's the other one for?
I have 2 EBT cards.
Do you have both girls' EBT cards now?
No, they're not the girls' EBTs. He said one was Andrea's, and the code,
Oh, so you're using Android.
he gave me hers. I haven't used it. He gave me hers at the gas station.
Okay, and another thing to add to this, and possibly a more premeditated motive that the state will bring up later, perhaps with this witness or one of the next ones that we cover tomorrow. John, for whatever his issues with drinking were, John was awarded full custody of both girls. Devin, at this point, it was the beginning of August. She had the girls the entire summer, but Devin was the weekend mom, the weekend dad of the relationship. John actually had full custody, and I'm sure it's going to be introduced possibly with the lead detective, but there are journals and pages of Devin just spewing vitriol about John getting custody, about the unfairness of this, of how she should be the one that got custody of the girls, that, it was all skewed against her, that he used rumors that she was going to make him pay for this. So again, this was not ever really a whodunit. And like Sarah Boone should have, Devin should have taken the plea deal because this is not a story that anyone will buy.
And then he has the other one that he got.
Okay. Where's that EBT card now?
They're both in my purse.
Okay. You know you can't have that, right?
Yes, but I know he gave them to me.
That doesn't make it right.
No, but I can't use them, but I understand, but you can see he handled it.
Also, I don't know who needs to hear this, but maybe don't confess to benefits fraud while you are currently being interrogated for a decapitation. I don't think this is like if you do a tiny confession, then they'll just leave you alone. I don't think it's like a 10% tithing thing. I don't think you can like confess to 10% of the bad stuff and keep the really bad stuff to yourself. No. Yeah, maybe don't confess to welfare fraud.
Okay. You're not understanding that you can't do that. So
No, I know I can't use them. I don't believe he can use it because it's not, it's Andreas and not his.
right. Is Andrea mad that you have the EBT card to shoot it in? Because she's got it now, that's her money.
No, he said that she gave it to him because she can't use it in the state that she's in.
So he was just using it to fill his void for money.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but your EBT benefits are not like inheritance that you can bequeath to whomever. Again, I don't begrudge anyone who is really struggling. I don't want anyone going hungry. But you're also not supposed to give your EBT card away to different people. You know, this is for you to get the basic nutrition that you need, not to go to, you know, the gas station to get a Monster. Giblets in heaven.
That's what he said. He said, but at any moment she can cancel it.
Yeah, but she wasn't. So he wants to marry you. He's telling the girls to be flower girls, yet you're still wearing a ring, and so is Dev.
This ring I bought on my own from Macy's. It has nothing. No, this wasn't a symbol.
You just told me that it was a symbol.
I said,
you have a best friend connection with Dev.
We do have a
You wear the
connection.
wedding ring too, and that's something that is a respectful thing, part of your marriage.
Yeah.
But now you're telling me that you and your ex were talking about getting married.
No.
You just took a ring off last night from another female and threw.
Dude, Devin, you should have gone clutch here and said you're Mormon, but you're from a weird sect that does brother husbands. I think it's polyandry, is brother husbands, but I could be wrong. I don't know. Polyandry sounds like something that one would do on a farm in some, like, you know, English shire. With horses, not like in a degenerate way, but like dressage. It seems like something very, very high class, not brother husbands, but I think that's what it's called. I could be wrong. It's very likely, in fact.
But yeah,
You're taking what I'm saying.
it's fact, it's what you said.
Yes, Tammy. This is the third police interview that Devin has had, and she is, in fact, you know, while they are having this interview, they are also at the same time searching her home and finding all of these random things that don't quite make sense. Like she is married to the son of her ex-boyfriend with whom she has 2 children. If that's not crazy enough, then, you know, he just ends up decapitated and all the evidence is somehow in her house for no reason. This defense attorney, I mean, all you need to do is put his face on Ben Affleck's body as he's out for a smoke looking dejected. It's at this point that he realized that he had done effed up.
No, I understand that's what I said, but that's not exactly the situation. You're taking it and
Okay,
so let me.
here's what you told us so far. Your ex needs a place to stay.
Yes,
Because
ma'am.
he's trying to get out of his mother's house.
Yes, ma'am.
You were kind enough to allow him to move into the house with you, your current husband, which is your best friend, and your 2 girls, which the girls just.
Yeah, I believe it's more prominent in very agrarian. I mean, and prominent, I mean, I think Nepal is the only example, but in very agrarian cultures where men's life expectancy is much lower than women, to provide sort of extra protection for the family, an extra breadwinner. But also, I think there is something to do with keeping inheritance in the family. I'm not quite sure. I didn't do a paper into it, but I mean, it sounds like a great idea until you think about double the laundry and double the man flu. But I wouldn't recommend double the wives either. I mean, at this point, it's hard enough to interact and deal with one person and try to be kind and respectful and, empathetic and supportive. Adding another person, hell, I can barely hydrate myself and, breathe oxygen. No, I do tell people I am keeping applications for brother husbands open. I have tried to sell the concept to Mr. Mo, in that he would only have to take out the trash twice a month, and he would have seniority. So whatever chore he didn't want to do, I mean, the new husband would have to do. And they could switch when I'm having a hysterical hormonal moment. I mean, imagine not having to deal with my current dramatic stress every day. And I would terrorize another person with puppets. I mean, all in all, it seems to make sense. No, like real chores, like laundry or doing the dishes or mopping. Look, I am okay with a sister wife as long as she does all the laundry and the mopping. Like I'm cool. We can, switch and alternate man flu. As long as I have seniority and holidays.
Back in the day. Okay, so you guys are trying to make it a family. You were saying that he was supposed to slowly move in, that things were progressing slowly. Now you're telling me that
JK Debug, bless you. Mr. Mo is actually the one that's doing 90% of the chores right now. And okay, I'm going to be real with you guys. It's really strange because for 12 years I was the cleanup person. I had a schedule, I had a routine. My house was Monday I did the kids' bathrooms, and then I scrubbed the upstairs, and then so I was on top of it. Now, my house never looked like June Cleaver lived there, but it was much tidier than it is now. So learning to overlook the things that bother me and be grateful for the chores that are done for me, even if they're not done in the way I would normally do it, has been something. To graciously receive help and not micromanage has been a learning curve. And I am glad that Mr. Mo has had a lot of patience with me, because I will admit it was a couple 2 years before I learned how to not speak in pain and to explain, hey, I'm having a lot of pain, so I'm not trying to be a butthole, but I can't focus on this. Can we talk about it later? Things like that. So I am not a saint. As I said, I'm your hot mess priestess. But it definitely, it's a learning curve. And you have to be willing to admit that you have something to learn and you need to grow. So it takes a lot of humility. And sometimes that's not easy to deal with. And goodness knows I'm not always the best with humility. Or humidity, but that's my hair.
he wanted to marry you. He mentioned that yesterday. He even talked to the kids about it. And that your relationship has now progressed past just slowly kind of
No, ma'am, you're misunderstanding. He has mentioned getting married in front of the girls. Our relationship is not rekindling on a physical level or romantic level, but we are trying to reconnect and have a family for the girls. Yes, he has said we should get married, and he's saying it more for my opinion, on a joking thing, but he has said that in front of the girls. That was not said yesterday. Okay?
When was that said? In front of the girls?
I would say over a month ago.
Okay, and what did you say in return in front of the girls?
I didn't say anything, I just looked at him and rolled my eyes.
So are the girls, when I talk to them, and say that they don't think you guys are getting married?
Oh yeah, they'll tell you that.
That you guys are not getting back together?
No. Because at one point I was telling him I didn't think it would be a good idea for him to be here, and it would be too hectic. So they will definitely tell you I was not trying to marry him.
Did you say anything to Deb about it?
Oh yeah, I told him that John keeps trying to say he wants to, get back together. I
You're talking to him now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then him moving in now was just a platonic, friendly relationship?
It's not a... Yes.
Basically, you guys sleep in the house.
I was going to clear out the storeroom that's out there.
Okay.
He said he wanted the loft because it was the cooler place, but I was going to give him the storeroom because there is more than enough room.
And then Deb sleeps on the sofa.
Wait a minute. So John and Devin were going to sleep together in the master bedroom while she sent her husband slash stepson to sleep on the couch. Devin, did you maybe run this possible alibi past anyone? Because do you hear how she is not buying not a damn word coming out your mouth? Maybe you're not getting the tonal inflection of bullshit.
Sometimes, or he does sleep on the bed, like I said, when we watch movies and he knocks out within minutes.
And then have you guys ever had a sexual relationship?
Yeah, we had.
Okay.
And
But it's not there now?
No, I can't even have sex now.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of different ways to have sex.
I understand, but no.
Okay, so you guys have no connection that way?
Wait, why can't she have the married fun time with at least the one man that she's sort of married to? And kudos for the detective to remind us that there are many ways to, well, stroke a chicken.
Okay. That would complicate it a lot. Having guys and someone you're still in a relationship.
I understand. You can have all my medical records and everything like that. I have to take hormones just to...
I understand. But like I said, there's a lot of different ways to have sex. It doesn't have to be penetration. There's a lot of things that a couple can do. And obviously you did that at the beginning, but just not now. So what changed?
Pain.
Well, not to be crass with you, but I think I need to be direct with you. And you can give a male a hand job. And that gives you a connection with that person in a sexual way.
I don't say long hand jobs.
A relationship. Do you know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
There's a lot of different things.
You heard the law, hand jobs count. No, but I'm feeling distinctly uncomfortable. I'm feeling more uncomfortable than all of the conversations we had on AJ's channel last night. Just because it's like, ma'am, do you understand what I'm trying to explain to you? As a former adult star, I'm sure you are quite well versed in the algebra of sexology.
You for a male that you're connected with.
If you ever see what's saying that we're not like that.
I'm just trying to answer, like, get all the questions answered.
I'm not. That's what answer questions.
I mean, I'm cool with we got married.
She looks like she's getting pissed. Again, I'm guessing detectives, like mothers, don't like being lied to their face. And she is assuming that this detective is dumber than a box of rocks. And I'm guessing she's gotten a fair bit of dumb blonde jokes, so it probably pisses her off that Devin assumed she was dumb enough to buy this bullshit story. Because that's where I would be. I'd be pissed off. Like, do I look dumb enough to buy this story? Because I'm gonna need to go to Sephora and maybe get some smart people glasses or something. Because does this look like the face of someone that can't open a door?
For this, the rings, that to me is a little odd. That's probably the most odd thing about it for me. Is that the ring? It's just that that's my ring. But he's wearing a ring, so he's wearing a wedding ring. He wears a lot of rings though. He's wearing a wedding ring. Mm-hmm. But he does wear more than one ring though. So, and he's bought them for himself. Sure. I bought mine. No, I mean, but I didn't buy them for them to be symbolic. He's bought his own rings to wear. And where did you guys get married? You guys married? What was that? The Tonino thing? So you guys had a ceremony on the forums? Yeah, it was free. I got a coupon thing, and that was cheaper. And you just did it out there in chapel and the weekend? Yeah, and there was the one witness, and that was it.
So you said that you guys have not, like, you and Deb already have been into for a while. How long are we talking? Like,
Years since he's been back.
what do you mean since he's been back?
He moved out of the state.
Yeah, Deb already says he's been living here for like the last 4 years.
Yeah, but he got moved out of the state. He lived in California, and then he moved back, lived with John, and then he came back this way.
Okay, so since he's been back, you guys have not?
No, sir. I stopped being physical probably in 2020 when I was having all my issues because I had surgery after surgery.
Okay, but he was already living here.
He wasn't living with me.
Because he was telling me that he's lived here for like the last 4 years.
Yeah, but he wasn't living with me the whole time. He was living with John at Paladera.
When I say living here, I mean like he actually said that he's lived here at this house. How long have you lived at this house?
I've been here for 3 years.
And then when did he come back, I guess, to Nevada? I guess that was what we're saying.
I would say I've been here for 3 years, so at least 2 years ago.
And then prior to living here for 3 years, where were you staying for that?
Decatur and Mars.
And then how long were you at that place?
Less than 1 year.
And then prior to that place,
It was at Wild Magic.
where's that at?
89129.
Like what area though? Like major cross streets?
Craig and Tanea. Right by where, close to where JC lives.
And then did your kids live with you at that time?
Yeah, they've always lived with me. They've only not lived with me for the short period of time of 9 months.
And going back to the ID and stuff, you said that was, yeah, you had one that is in a bunch of bags in your drawer. When did he give you that?
Yesterday. With the IDs and the social security card.
And was that at the house that you gave that?
Now, the story that evolves and what the defense presented in opening statement is quite a different story. That because of John's heavy drinking, the family kind of procedure, if he was going to drink, was to take all driving sort of accoutrement from him, like keys, wallet, ID, to make sure that he did not go out intoxicated and drive. Now, that makes no gosh darn sense. Because that's not what Yoko testified to. It wasn't a practice for her. Although Yoko wasn't even going to admit that John drank frequently or heavily. So do consider the source. But no one else in the family spoke about this procedure of taking away his keys and ID. But that's kind of what has happened with the defense. A lot of things that, have kind of been narratively switched just a little bit to try to make this make sense. but it just doesn't.
Yes, sir. So he handed you a bag yesterday. Do you remember what was in it?
No, he just handed it to me and I put it in the bags. Because I just wanted them out the way.
Okay.
So I'm not sure exactly what's in it. I didn't go through it.
So explain that part to me as far as like when he did that and what did you do? So like where were you guys at when he handed you like that sack and stuff?
In his room area, and he handed me the little skirt thing. He says, hold on to this, and he handed me the other thing because this is my social. He says, just keep it safe. And that's all I was gonna do. So I wrapped it up, and I was gonna put the social in the security box, and I just didn't have a chance to do it.
What else? Did he give you anything else?
He gave me his guns.
Anything else? Like there's a set of keys in that bag too.
The keys are for Andrea's stuff.
The set of keys that are in that bag. Like the bag.
Yeah, the keys are my keys.
Where do those go to?
My car.
So you have
Detective, we're going to pause real briefly. Throughout the course of the investigation, did you learn that no spare set of Chevy keys for John's truck were ever discovered?
Yes.
In fact, after the defendant was arrested for the homicide, was there some communication with Yoko about returning the keys?
Yes.
And why was that?
There were no set of keys for John's truck found in the home or anywhere else after searching all the residences other than the keys that were in the bag.
And so you had to return those keys to her so she could do whatever she was going to do financially with the truck.
Correct.
bag that you put, plastic bag that you wrapped his ID in that he gave you, had a set of your keys in there?
I'm still lost.
I'm just wondering, like, when he handed you a bunch of stuff, he only gave you the wallet with the ID in it? Did he hand you anything else?
The social security card.
Okay, because in that bag that it was wrapped in, that you said you wrapped it in, there was also a set of vehicle keys in there.
I don't remember giving the keys.
Because I guess that's my question. Like, why would he give you his wallets, social security card, which Detective Skinner's asking, also, and then also a set of keys?
I don't remember the keys. I just know the wallet and the social security card.
And then you put that in a plastic bag while you were at that house?
I just grabbed everything and tied it and tied it and tied it and tied it.
So the only thing he handed you, like, so I'm giving you this stuff, what exactly does he hand you?
I remember seeing a wallet, and I went like this, he dropped it in, and I just started tightening it away.
So it's just a wallet though?
That's all I remember seeing. I do not remember seeing
We're
keys,
sniping
but
me?
he dropped it in the bag. Like, I just took it and tied it away.
And was this in the garage?
No, sir, it was in his room.
Inside the room in the house?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Again, now I am functioning on 2 hours of sleep, but yes, please explain to me how everyone was totally happy to, be one big happy family. Your ex, his adult son who you're married to, and your 2 children with your ex who are not only the stepchildren of your current husband, but also their half sibling. And everyone was okay with that. And not only that, then you took all the evidence and left it.
Was that before you guys went into the garage?
That was before we left. And then he also said, make sure the guns are safe. And we didn't take the ammo. So I carried on.
Detective, was this timeline that the defendant gave you notable?
It was.
And why is that?
Specifically,
Thank you guys so
the
much.
keys
Thank
being
you,
in the
Raiders.
bag and the wallet When they leave the Paladura residence,
you, maybe not.
she'll indicate that they were in his truck and then drove back to his house, or back to her house on Porcupine Rim. However, the keys have been tied up in that bag because she indicates in her statement, I tied them, and that's exactly how we found them in the drawer.
And so we know based on not only the defendant's statements, but witnesses and technological evidence.
Thank you, guys.
That it wasn't the Nissan Burla that they made the last trip to Porcupine Rim in and then returned to Paladura. It was the...
And for those of you that are sniping me, you know, some days I rail against the absurdity of the world, but sometimes you just have to do chef's kiss of absurdity. The fact that we have, well, an adult film star that decided to buy a house on Porcupine Rim Road, and the fact that there is such a thing as a Porcupine Rim Road, just tickles my dark black heart. And thank you so much, K-Mac Queen. I hope you are all having a great New Year's Eve. I am actually going to be stopping this stream in about, let's see, what time is it? 15 minutes, because I will be heading over to Squid's channel. We will be going over the trial that's starting next week, Georgia versus Sarah Grace Patrick. She has been on this case since it first came into the news. Thank you so much, K-Mac Queen. So she will be going over it. I have started researching it, so I will be starting to cover that trial next week on Monday. January, we'll do a little bit of housekeeping because I'm actually organized. I mean, I need a freaking parade. So next week we'll start the Sarah Grace Patrick trial. I am planning to finish up all of the Devin Mitchell or This Crazy trial by the end of the week. And then the following week, still expect the Sarah Grace Patrick trial to be going on, but on the 13th, we not only have Rex Heuermann pretrial motions, the deadline for those to be turned in is on the 13th, but we have the court appearance for the stepfather and mother in the Rebecca Park case from Michigan at 10:30. Those are supposed to go several days possibly because I believe they are probable cause hearings. And then on the 14th, we have the sisters in the Parks case. Okay, you guys, and so while you guys are sniping from Shizzy, I have to show you guys, I have been on a puppet spree. So now this puppet has a story, and I would like to claim that marriage goals are different in the Mo house, because I was so excited with myself that I got this puppet that Mr. Mo happened to be in the shower when my puppet came. And I thought to myself, how many times can you possibly terrify the hell out of your husband with a puppet, you know, peeking over the shower to say, I'm too old for this shit. Smoke 'em if you got 'em. Now, the only problem in my, trying to sneak up on my husband is that he is in fact much taller than me and can in fact see over the shower. Now, Gabby over at Alternate Juror sent me this, and again, how could I say no? It's a sandwich puppet. So when Baker's being misogynist and tells us all to go into the kitchen, I'll have my own sassy sandwich to, say, made you a sandwich. It's a sassy sandwich. Again, this just made my day. It's the small things. Literally, I don't care anymore. I am who I am, and I'm happy with puppets. But the penultimate puppet purchase. Now, I am fairly sure that only myself, Shizzy, and one or two unlicensed child psychologists have bought these puppets. But for our Sarah Boone Puppet Theater, we have picked the most boony of Boone representation right here. We have all her basic emotional, variances. We've got, it seems like you're trying to put like words in my mouth, kind of shocked, surprised. Then we have, well, confused. I was tipsy. Like, you could tell I was totally drunk, but I wasn't drunk. Like, it was Schrodinger's boozeness. Like, you're just trying to assume that I was intentional. Now, we'll probably never have to use this because this would indicate that Sarah had any sense of remorse other than for herself. Again, this one I doubt because I don't think Sarah Boone has ever been happy in her entire life. But if there is a point in the transcript where she does seem happy, we will use this. Again, peaceful. We could honestly, not even use this. But I think the puppet we will be using the most, I don't know. It just captures her so well. You guys, I mean, I saw this puppet. I am going to find a mini suitcase to attach googly eyes to. But I mean, I do have to, it's a loose thread. But I mean, honest to God, the utter likeness of Sarah Boone captured in puppet form. And they're only $20 for 6 puppets of, again, Mr. Mo was like, why? And I was like, it's going to be Sarah Boone Puppet Theater. I need to get a mini suitcase with googly eyes. I mean, these aren't conversations that are happening in most marriages, but at least I haven't told him to play hide and seek with me yet. It's funny, you guys. Youngest Most Feral assumes that I have just been continuously watching the Sarah Boone trial. Because every time he sees me, watching what he calls a boring trial, he's like, all they do is talk. They talk at each other. And you don't even get to see pictures of the dead people. That's my son. But he's like, are you still with that idiot woman who doesn't know how to play hide and seek? Youngest Most Feral continues to be offended by Sarah's lack of hide and seek knowledge. But you guys, I am going to redirect you guys over to Squid's channel. I'm going to take a quick bio break, get some snack food in me, because after I am done with Squid Pro Quo, I am going to hang out a bit with Shizzy, and then I'm probably going to collapse and hope that I can walk Mr. Mo through making the seafood boil, because I am exhausted. I don't, to be fair, the doctor said that, and I know that I am typically sensitive to all the side effects. So I was not, this is not unexpected that increasing the dose of this medication would mean that I was a bit more hyper and unable to sleep. So I just forgot how weird it is to get back on this. So, we might have another squirrely day tomorrow, but we will get through the Devin Mitchell's case. I believe we only have several more state witnesses, and then we are into the defense, possibly. Now, I don't believe the defense put on much of a case, but I think we only have one more day full of testimony, and that's just going to include the cell phone data and the infotainment system and all of that to tie it together. So thank you, JK Debug, for adding the link for Squid's stream. And thank you so much for all of you guys who are sniping from Shizzy's and came over from Shizzy's. Do go over and give him a like. Thank you, Dan Davis. And God promised men that all wives would be obedient in all corners of the world. Then he made the world round. Yeah, like, obedience. How about mutual respect? because that's what I look at it as. Because I know people get all Twitter pated about the obedience thing. I just look at it as mutual respect. I know Mr. Mo likes to keep the finances, separated and carefully planned. So, I try to make sure that I budget and stay within the budget. It's not that I'm obedient to his budget plan. I just, you know, we have budget conversations, we talk about it, and then I agree to not stress him out by staying in the budget. Because when he's stressed out, I'm stressed out. I don't know. To me, it's, tomato, tomato, obedience, respect. But I don't know, you guys. I am going to go take my bio break. Thank you so much for spending your time with me on this New Year's Eve. If I don't see you going into other streams the rest of the day, I hope that you have a lovely, happy, fun, safe, and warm New Year's Eve. If you decide to celebrate with, devil's lettuce, booze, whatever is your vice, be safe, get an Uber. If your kiddos are going out to friends' houses tonight, make sure that they understand that the roads are going to be possibly more dangerous. Because my girls were kind of unaware until I sat them down and reminded them earlier this week. So celebrate responsibly, but y'all are adults. I trust you. Be careful, be safe, and I hope to see you tomorrow. Now, y'all, I will tell you, look, I make no promises if the finale of Stranger Things is terrible. If they don't stick the landing, I might have a little bit to say about it, but it's not going to be an entire rant session. It's just going to be like, doggone it, I was so excited for this. But, it's just a show. Life goes on. There are more important things. Enjoy your family. And, if you like it, you like it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. Tomorrow's going to be another day and we get another chance to have fun. Bye, you guys.